Hello everybody and welcome back to the UK Championship, and now we are down to the semi-final stage and we've got the setup here, that's for sure. We've got Judd against Neil Robertson, the Thunder from Down Under against the Ace in the Pack. By far the highest rated match in terms of ranking points there. The world number 1 against the world number 3 for the first time, of course, this season since Shanghai Masters, which at that time, of course, it wasn't a ranking event, but now at the Triple Crown, we've got the setup, we've got the fans, we've got the occasion, and we certainly have got the players. Welcome along, everybody, and well, I certainly expect it to be a match of this week, with those two players being by far the best two that we've seen so far at York. And if you have to go through their performances so far, you know, defending champion started his campaign against Stephen Maguire. It was a bit tough there for him, especially in the middle part, but he ultimately managed to knock out the mountain from Scotland and progress to his match with Si Jiahui and Billy Maguire with scoreline of 6-4. Then what followed up was a bit of a mixed bag performance against Si Jiahui, because on terms and on some of those frames, Trump was playing the snooker of his life there, certainly the snooker of this season, and on some of the occasions we still have seen some of the glimpses of the unforced errors. And then, as he managed to progress to the quarterfinal stage yesterday, where he beat Ding Zhuwei in a very interesting match there for him by a scoreline of 6-2. So it's been on the rise there for Trump, and he's managed to improve his form every single time he's played against someone new this tournament. And well, he's going to be up against someone that he knows really, really well. Both players, of course, have been very sort of praiseful of the tight pockets format, and let's see if they're going to be able to deliver, because it is going to be Neil Robertson after 2 brilliant wins over Pang Junxu and Wu Yize after his opening round win over Julien Leclerc, where he managed to win 6 frames on the bounce against Wu Yize and 5 frames on the bounce against Pang Junxu. Lost out on frame number 7 in the most bizarre of circumstances, and yeah, as he tweeted yesterday, he became the player that he lost the frame after his opponent needing 4 snookers to get himself back in that frame, and ultimately didn't actually lose too much ground. He lost 3 frames on the bounce, but still wasn't enough there for Pang to get him into the semi-final clash, but it was enough for Neil Robertson to book his spot at the semi-final here at the York at Barbican once again. And well, you know, Trump has obviously been here before last season, where he lost not a single match out there, and ultimately managed to beat Barry Hawkins in a very exciting matchup with a scoreline of 10-8. And now, let's see if he's going to be able to at least book his spot in the final now against Neil Robertson, because, well, we've got the referee Ben Williams introduced. If you're going to have a quick head-to-head look, the last meeting between the two of them, as I say, was Shanghai Masters earlier this season. I think that one was a last 16. And Robertson managed to lose that match by a scoreline of 6-2. And the last meeting at the UK Championship was at the first round a couple of years ago in 2023. And ultimately was Judd Trump once again there to win that match against Robertson. So Robertson has got something to try, and well, even the head-to-head out, because right now he's finding himself on the receiving end of things, because 44 matches have been played in between those two. 18 of them have been won by Neil Robertson, and 26 have been won by Judd Trump. But of course, it all comes down to this now for both of the players. And well, if you're going to talk about players on form, well, for me personally, you have to say that these two have been by far the best 2 players that we've seen throughout this tournament. I think Selby is going to be number 3, and Murphy probably is going to be somewhere around number 4. So it's not often that you see all 4 players making it this far into the tournament, and you can see that Robertson's certainly enjoying this one and entertaining the crowd slightly with you know, the swing of his cue as he walks onto the arena. And he's now down to the world number 1 to make his appearance on the main stage. It was down to 1 table format for a while, but now it is going to be the semi-final format, and which one of these 2 giants of the game is going to be able to progress to the last man standing in the final, at least. Now it is going to be the Ace in the Pack and his appearance onto the main arena. You have to talk about this match now, or you have to mention out the fact that it's been very important for the players to get themselves off to a good start, although always compromised by an early frame loss. So when you lose an early frame, like of course Robertson did against both Pang and Wu previously, Judd managed to lose 2 of those frames away to Ding Zhuwei, managed to win all the remaining frames, and in the end still got himself a comfortable win now. So as we have Judd entering the arena, let's get ready to get this party started. And certainly so far, the match of the season. Certainly if you look at the two players actually playing in that one, you could argue with that at the Shanghai Masters where he was at the last 16 stage. Well, it's now semi-final for the Triple Crown event. And of course, it's not going to be quite Kyron Wilson, Ronnie O'Sullivan, Mark Williams and John Higgins, but these two certainly will entertain the fans to a brilliant performance. That one you have no doubt, and it's all about who's going to be the winner. And, well, if you're going to try and predict the winner, I think it's going to be mission impossible, especially with the way those two have played. If you're going to bet against Neil Robertson, I wouldn't recommend doing that. But if you're going to do the same against the world #1 defending champion, it might not be the best idea either. And of course, both players have got a couple of wins here. I think Robertson managed to win the tournament in 2013 and 2020. Managed to break the curse of losing every single time in the first round ever since that win in 2020. And Judd, well, managed to win it last year and obviously winning the tournament in 2011. To get himself started with that Triple Crown start. And, well, Neil Robertson to break off, and let's get this party started. As I said previously, the match is about to begin. And it certainly will provide us with all the entertainment in the world. As Robertson now ready to separate the reds away from each other. And gets the cue ball nicely lined up towards the yellow pocket. And just having a look there with Jump to see if Robertson left him a red to try and take into the right corner. Doesn't seem to be the case now. And in the end, he's just trying to use another red, sending towards the right corner pocket and get the cue ball once again in behind the green. Nice little shot there by Chomp because it's going to get the cue ball very close to the ball cushion. And something that both players probably haven't been so brilliant at this season probably has actually been safety play. If you talk about these tournament alone. But their pot success, their positional play, and, well, certainly long pots for Judd Chomp on multiple of those occasions have actually been spectacular, to say the least. Now just sending the cue ball down the table here from Robertson, getting one of those reds towards the green pocket. And Chomp will have a look to see if he's got a chance of, well, rolling the cue ball onto the top part of the table. Probably is not going to be an opportunity unless he takes out that red, which Robertson has left quite close to the right middle. And probably something that he's going to try and go for. Because as you can see, we've got two players that have managed to complete the Triple Crown set. But this is not really a great shot there by Chomp because it misses a double kiss only just about. And this red is going to go over the right corner pocket. Now as he left this red over the pocket to see if Robertson can try and have a go with it. I think he can. And I also think that he's going to be able to get himself in with a nice chance. And safety success has actually seen Judd Chomp mounting over the likes of Scott Donaldson, Mark Selby and Elias Lesser. But still, for now, he's going to be behind Joey Londa. Of course, he's not going to feature in any more of those matches after the second round loss away to Mark Selby. But it's a nice little long shot there by Robertson. Now getting himself lined up for either yellow or brown to choose from. As he gets the cue ball down the table, I think the prime option is going to be taking the brown into the green pocket. Although he has to be careful with the cue ball being so close to the cushion. And, well, he decides to go for the yellow at the end. So obviously felt like there was enough of the angle that he had on the cheapest of the colours to get the cue ball set up for the red. To try and play it into the left corner. Now, as he plays the shot off the blue one more time, I think he'll try and get the white onto the black ball zone as soon as he possibly can. And after this blue, I still think that he's got two reds that he can try and take into the right corner. And, well, on top of that, he'll try and make go on more of those reds in the free play there for him. If he wants to make this break, something to try and hold on to. And you can see the form coming into the semi-final, beating Pan Jing-Su 6-4, Wu Yize 6-1, and Julien Leclerc by 6 frames to 2. So pretty much dominated majority of those matches. Just a scoreline probably wouldn't suggest that against Pan Jing-Su, but basically leaving his opponent from China. Requirement of winning 5 frames on the bounce. And it's a nice little shot there by Robertson. Getting the cue ball into the main bunch of reds straight away. He's still going to have the position on the black now. and just guiding the cue ball onto the black, trying to hold the white just about enough there so that he has got a chance of taking this red into the left corner. Now 17 points is the advantage here for Robertson, as he has a little look to see if he's got any more of those reds that he can try and take into the left middle. They can try and use the other red as a cushion there for the cue ball. Well, I thought so. He clearly didn't think so, and he was trying to get the cue ball to be lined up for the pink, and in the end, that hasn't worked out at all. He's going to have himself snookered, and well, obviously will try and get the cue ball onto the top part of the table if he finds a sort of safe spot there for himself. Just having a look to see if he's going to be able to maybe catch one of those ball colours from behind. But of course, in that case, you have to judge their power to an absolute perfection, because if you miss the shot and you still get the cue ball in behind any of those ball colours, you will be leaving a free ball away to your opponent. So Robertson obviously understanding that, and it's all about just trying to pick out the right shot there for him and trying to get away from Chomp in terms of at least not giving him an easy chance there to get himself started into this frame. We have seen that with Ding Junhui yesterday a couple of times, where I think on 4 of those occasions with Chomp winning the frame, he only needed one chance there, and the breaks of 73 points, 91 points, and another couple of 50 plus there allowed him to have that win over Ding Junhui with quite a confidence there. I think winning 6 frames on the bounce always helps. And it's a nice little shot there by Robertson, because he managed to get the green pretty much from the first try. Still gets the cue ball closer to the ball cushion, pushes the green away onto the side cushion itself. And well, Trump having a look there to see if he's got any of those plants available, but ultimately I do think that he can try and go for this red into the left corner. He has gone for those shots before, and he has gone for it once again there. So it's Judd that getting himself under the chance there, and after it looked like Robertson played a nice shot, in the end Trump is able to find the gap there for him to drop the red into. And now if he gets the position on the brown, which I think he does, he's going to be able to re-establish himself back in with a chance here, taking the brown. And is he going to have the position on the next red? I think he will, but ideally he wants this red to be the one that he can try and take into the left corner. And you can see the pink is just going to be about to block the angle for the cue ball to try and travel towards that red, so he has to try and take the more difficult cut into the left middle, but he manages to play the shot nicely, getting around the black. And well, if you want to talk about the Trump's performance of the way that he managed to get into the semi-final, beating Ding Junhui by 6 frames to 2, Si Xiaowei by 6 frames to 3, and Stephen Maguire by 6 frames to 4. And with that logic, of course, he'll have to beat Neil Robertson 6 frames to 1 to extend that winning streak. And in the sequence of him losing 1 frame less every single time he faces the opponent from the latter stage. But he hasn't played a good shot now, because he managed to get the black in. But has he run himself out of position now? I think he has, and he's got a plan looking at the right corner, but ultimately is he going to be able to take it with the way there? He's going to try and push the cue ball onto the top part of the table, of that there is no doubt. But if he's going to be able to get too close to the pocket and still leave the red over it, no matter how far you get the white out of the way, you're not going to be able to put it safe if you're going to leave the red over the corner pocket. But that's the way to deal with that question, and it's a perfect pot there from Chomp. Now 4 points away there from Robertson, and still the man at the table. I think he can try and take the blue here. I think the pink probably would have been an easier pot there, but from this pink, I don't think there is a way of getting on the next red into the left corner, which I think is going to be prime target there for Trump, because even though he has only have 8 reds and all of them in open play, they do seem to be bunched up in the way of each other. And for now, probably 1 or 2 reds that he's got available to him. And well, Trump trying to get the cue ball somewhat close to that red, in the end catching the brown full ball. And he still leaves himself on with a chance here for a long shot, but it shouldn't be too easy there for him at all, because of the way that he has to try and approach the shot, getting the cue ball on the setup for the black here if he wants to try and hold it. But in the end, I think he'll try and get the cue ball onto the top part of the table, where he's going to have the brown waiting for him over the left middle. Once again, beautiful long shot by Judd, and he's off to a great start now. Once again, had some difficult pots along the way, but the job is not quite done yet, because you probably want to try get the cue ball into those reds. And has he managed to find a gap there for himself? He's got a red potentially waiting for him into the right middle or right corner. And the question is there enough of a gap in between the cue ball and that red to find that shot and try and actually make it into the pocket itself? Well, clearly the fact that he's not looking at the red into the right corner probably going to suggest that the other red is going to be in the way. So it's going to come down to taking the shot into the right middle or just playing a safety shot. Has to be careful that he doesn't make a push shot here, of course, which will result in a foul and leave Neil Robertson in with a chance. At this stage, with the way that the points are set up, you're not going to need a green, which is currently probably the only problem that you've got in between the two players. And, well, it's a nice little shot there by Judd, because he manages to get the red in, so drops it just about in, and still has managed to do enough to get the position on the brown. So just trying to hammer that one home. The route for the cue ball is not going to be too difficult there. With him having a red just underneath the blue, he's going to be able to take it into the left middle and try and run away there from Robertson this time around. Once again, of course, we have seen Robertson missing out on the opening frames for 2 rounds in a row now, after his somewhat confident win against Julian Leclerc. He's managed to lose both of the opening frames to Pang Jung-soo and Wu Yize, of course. But losing to Judd Chomp will be probably a bit more of a challenge there. And Chomp is trying to find his way onto those reds. And has he managed to do it? I think he's got a plant anyway. But he has got a red that he can see, which is going to be able to get past the other bunch. And just try and knock this one into the right corner. And this should be certainly the finish line for Judd Chomp, because he's not going to need the red that has gone on the side cushion, because he's going to be able to establish more of a gap than 35 points at that time. If he manages to get this pink with 3 more reds, certainly will get that out of the way, with already 24 points being the deficit for Neil Robertson to try and overcome. Now we can try and play this with a bit of backspin to try and stun it for the black. And it doesn't want to be straight on this one, of course, because that will probably leave him with the requirement of going for one of those 2 reds into the middle. And he has left himself absolutely perfectly straight. So a bit of a backspin shot trying to get through those reds. Well, I mean, he's certainly going to trust in his ability if he's going to play a shot like that. Brilliant there from Chomp. And the first 50 plus break that we're going to see in the opening frame now by the world number 1. And yeah, as he manages to cannon the cue ball away from the side cushion, getting past the pink, and both of those reds not touching either of the 3 colours. And now 33 points is the advantage there for him. So if he gets this red after the black, he's going to be able to leave Robertson needing a couple of snookers at least. And now as he cannons the pink out of the way, plays the shot nicely, he's going to have the shot of the red now for the frame to be taken away from Robertson. And once again, it is going to be Judd Chomp taking the opening frame after, because both little players have lost out the opening frame against both Ding Junhui and Pang Jung-soo. One of them had to win it, and it does look like it will be Judd Chomp. Because for him to eliminate all sorts of hopes there for Robertson, he needs to roll the pink in, which he will. And the gap of 47 points. And you can see Robertson making an appearance with the brilliant mood out there. I think that will be compromised slightly with him losing the opening frame. And now can Chomp make a little century break on? He won't be able to. And it's going to be the break of 65 points, which is still going to keep Neil Robertson in his chair. And it is going to be the opening frame to Judd Chomp now, as the world number 1 has got a 1 next to his name. It is Judd Chomp 1, Neil Robertson 0, as we head on to frame number 2. And so far it's a positive start there for Judd. And Neil just has to be a bit more careful with the chances that he's going to get in this encounter. He had one of them. And of course he was the first player to actually get himself in with a chance after a misjudgment. Left him a long red available into the right corner. He was able to take here and produce the break of 18 points, but the problem was That was the only 18 points that he managed to score. And in the end, it was Judd to take it away there for him after making a lovely little break of 65 points. Of course, last thing you want to see in the match of this magnitude, especially if you're neutral watching this, is one of the players running away with it and not leaving a chance for another player. Let's hope that we're not going to see a total domination. And, well, we are going to see total domination. It has to be from Neil Robertson now because he finds himself a frame down. And we know the blueprint of the previous two matches is there. Let's see if he's going to be able to get this one lined up for a third mini comeback there. Because, of course, he was leading at the interval every single time was losing those opening frames. Let's see if he's going to be able to do it. Third time out of 3 here. With Judd going for a break-off shot now. We're ready to get the second frame started. And once again, the first one was really quick. Not even 18 minutes since the match has started. And now let's get the party started once again now. Well, it's a similar shot there for the one that Robertson was trying to do in the opening frame. Of course, has got the black covered up by another red. So we're going to see if Robertson will try and push that red onto the black. Just has to be careful to ensure that he's not going to be able to put that red over the pocket. Although, I mean, if he's got that plant set up anyway, and it's looking perfectly in the pocket, it may actually be worth there for him to try and maybe go for this plan, push one red into the black, therefore push the black into another red, with the distance in between those two being very much a minor at that time. But as I say, it will depend on the fact of those two looking perfectly in the pocket. And I mean, from this angle, they certainly do like it. And, well, Robertson in the end just refusing to shot at all, just pushing that red towards the right-hand side of the table. Still getting the cue ball into a nice position there for himself. And back to Chump he goes. So Robertson just having a bit of a nervous look now. There's no sign of that smile left off, as it's all about business at this stage. And Chump, well, was very close to catching one of those reds with a double kiss. And therefore would have left a red over the left middle. In the end, he manages to avoid that cannon. And that is going to go to the top part of the table. Therefore, not leaving a chance for Robertson to try and play it. But I think at this stage, you'll have Robertson just trying to get that red away from the black to ensure that whichever one of the players is going to get themselves a chance, you'll have the black to try and deal with. But, you know, there's always a bit of a downside to playing that shot because as he catches the brown full ball, now he leaves a red on for Trump. And with him freeing up the black previously, could be an issue there for him. And it's an issue well taken by Judd, as he manages to get the red in, although he lost the cue ball a bit. And it's a wonderful little pot there by Trump. Still has to be very careful in terms of him trying to take this shot of the black into the right corner. You'll inevitably try and play it into the bunch with him having no more open reds to try and play for. And, well, of course, has to make sure that he's going to get the black in, and also trying to get at least a couple of those reds for him to try and deal with. And he hasn't managed to get the black in at all, therefore compromise himself on the exit of those reds. And it is going to be the break of 1 point there for Trump, as he was nowhere near of making the black in. But now it's a chance for Robertson, if he can try and get this red into the yellow pocket. Because plan B is going to have to be playing the shot into the middle, but I think he can try and get through to this red. If he's going to be able to take it, he will be. And now it's Robertson in the chance there. So far, in both of these frames, we've had at least one chance per player. The problem was, it was the only chance that both players have actually been presented to with. And, well, on the opening occasion, it was Robertson that had the first chance. Now it was Trump. And ultimately, it was a player that had the second chance that managed to win the opening frame. Let's see if Robertson is going to be able to do it again now and try and put his name on the score sheet. He's got a couple of reds to try and deal with now. The first one is going to have to be into the left corner. Pushes the cue ball through this red, trying to get himself lined up for the black. And doesn't want to be straight in it once again there, because he just wants to roll the black in. Maybe play the shot with a bit of backspin on the cue ball to try and get himself lined up for the red to be taken. And I think he got the cue ball away from the black ball cushion, a bit too far away there. And he can try and take this red in. But, of course, this is missable. And he still has to play with power to get himself lined up for the black. and manages to play it nicely. So now 15 points is the advantage for Robertson. And, well, probably going to have to do same sort of short selection that Chomp has done previously, which ultimately got Robertson at the table. But of course, he has got a better chance of potting the black here. Is he going to be able to land himself on the red, though? He won't, as far as I can see. He's got very close of the red into the right corner, but it's not going to be at the potting angle. He's got the red, which normally you can trake on into the yellow pocket, but not when you're going to be leaving. The red's all over the table now. And, well, one more chance there for him. He's potentially a bit of a difficult cut into the right corner, which I think Robertson will try and do right now. But it is going to be a difficult shot there for him to take. And he has managed to play it in terms of getting the red in as he landed himself on the colour. I don't think he has. Yeah, he clearly was trying to force the cue ball through the reds and get himself lined up for either pink or blue. In the end, he's going to be on absolutely nothing. Unless he takes the blue on into the yellow pocket, he will, and he'll miss it. Now, unless he gets a fluke into the corner pocket, which he won't, it is going to be the golden opportunity presented to Judd Trump. And, well, you have to feel like probably wasn't the right shot there for Robertson because his positional play wasn't perfect so far. And with him trying to force that blue into the pocket, leaves himself, well, very vulnerable now in his chair. Because out of, what is it now, 10 reds that Chomp has got ahead of himself, all 10 of them are going to be in perfect position out there. He's got the black on his spot, he's got the blue quite close to the left corner. And with the pink being out of position, probably the only minor problem there for Chomp at this stage. And he's going to be able to get on the brown now. Plays for the backspin, catches the brown with a bit, which probably wasn't part of the plan there for Judd. But still gets himself perfectly lined up for the brown. And the shot on the cue ball, try and play the white away from the ball cushion and try and get himself lined up for the red. Once again, with the blue being out of position, I think he'll try and get himself lined up for one of the ball colours once again until he gets the cue ball in and around the black spot, and he's going to be able to really get started on the break in terms of getting all the points that he might need to get this frame away from Neil Robertson. Yeah, and it's all about just having a look to see if, I mean, he's gone for the pink commitment quite early in terms of, I actually thought he's going to be able to get a couple of those reds out of the way first, which is probably why he's refused to take the pink on and is going to play for the yellow, because that way he's going to have the cue ball's job slightly easier there in terms of positional play. But the first shot that he's played on getting the cue ball down the table probably wasn't as good as he could have been, because even though he got it down the table, he's going to have position on the cue ball quite close to the side cushion. And the tournament off the cushion pot success 3 out of 5 so far, so 68%. And well, it is going to be a bit less than that, 55% as you can see, and it's a bad shot there by Chomp. Previously, I wouldn't even blame it on this one, because you shouldn't really position yourself with such a difficult cut into the right corner. And now it is going to be back to Robertson once again. So now we're going to have 2 chances for each of the players. Let's see if Robertson is going to be able to drop the red in. He will. And, well, I mean, of course, he doesn't have the problem that Chomp had of getting the cue ball down the table, which I still thought that Chomp was going to be able to deal with a lot nicer than he managed to. And now 16 points is the difference between Robertson and Chomp. As Robert just having a look to see on which red he's going to try and position the cue ball for next. And just tries to force the cue ball into the black. Once again, plays the shot really nicely in terms of managed to get the black straight into the heart of the pocket and still carrying the cue ball into those reds. Got a couple of them available for himself, and now he's going to have the first one taken into the left corner. Of course, with him having a gap of 23 points already up to this point, he's going to have, well, very little to do now, especially with him having such easy control of those reds. And Robertson's UK Championship record, 26 appearances. The debut was 27 years ago in 1998. Managed to win 58 matches, lose 20 of them. And 85 centuries in the progress, of course, making a maximum on one of those occasions. And when he managed to get himself into finals, he won 3 of them and didn't lose any at all. Now, 40 points is the points tally there for Robertson. Good evening. Well, good afternoon, I'd say, but certainly good evening. It depends where you're watching from. And certainly good evening to you, Gareth. Now, just having this red taken into the right corner, and it's difficult to see one great player not make it into the finals. I mean, it's a fair comment, but as I say, I think we had a couple of great players knocked out already. We had Mark Williams, John Higgins, Ronnie O'Sullivan, and Karen Wilson all eliminated before the quarterfinal stage. And, well, I think, as I say, those two have played the best snooker by far of anyone on the tour in this week here at York, with them not just having comfortable wins over their opponent more times than not, especially when you look at the way Robertson has taken his matches, but also with the way that they've managed to explore those tight pockets which have been a conversation for the majority of the players on tour, and managed to sort of make it work in their favour. Now it is going to be Robertson with 40 points advantage. Well, he can try and take this pink on, which of course was refused by Chomp previously, and just having a look to see, of course he has managed to take a couple of those reds away from the pink spot, and taking this red into the left corner is going to be an option there for him. If he manages to go really deep onto the cue ball, just try and take it with all the backspin that you can. Hasn't played the shot well though, and he's going to have to try and go for another red to be taken into the left corner. Of course, he's not over the line quite yet, and he's still going to need a couple more of those spots. And in fact, he's going to need the red and the black combination, which he has managed to do 50% off. Lovely little red taken nicely there. We have seen a similar sort of red missed by Ding Zhuhui in the match against Judd yesterday. Followed was a brilliant clearance away from Judd. And now it is going to be frame ball taken by Neil Robertson. So 54 points is the advantage, with 51 still at the table. He can try and drop one more of those reds to ensure that Trump won't have a chance to fight back for the frame. Otherwise he will come back to the table. And tournament average shot time, as you can see, Robertson being in top 3 and Trump being only a second back away from him, with 22 seconds for the Aussie and 23 seconds for Judd Trump, as he manages to drop the red into the right middle nicely. So it's all about just trying to get one more colour there for him and get the cue ball down the table one more time, as he tries to just put up a bit of entertainment now for the fans at this stage, because he's not going to be able to make a century break. And it's all about just trying to get the maximum out of the points that he's got available now to him. If he plays both of those reds with a black, he can still get himself into an 86 points of a clearance. But the last remaining red is going to be a bit of an issue there, especially if you're going to try and play with a black. And to send the cue ball a long way out, and in the end, it's not quite going to be the break of 50 points, with it being the break of 45 there for Robertson to get this frame 1 away from Judd Trump. And Chomp had a couple of early chances himself, ultimately wasn't able to convert them into any more than just 19 points, and Robertson was able to take it from the second time of asking and get himself back level there with Chomp. It is now Judd Chomp 1, Neil Robertson 1, going into frame number 3, with absolutely nothing to separate the two players. As you probably would expect, as I say, going into this match, I don't think you're going to have either one of them running away with it. And if I was to make a guess, and it will be an absolute guess at this stage, you'll probably go for Trump to edge it 6-5 in a decider. But if I am going to see the match going the distance, you could probably make the same argument there for Robertson. But clearly don't understand 71% of Chomp and 29 for Robertson, because, as I say, the way that Chomp has played and the way that Robertson has played this tournament, I'll actually age it to Robertson in terms of pure performance. But of course, when you get to the business end of the tournament, you could count the factors like the personal head-to-head, which does seem to be in favour of Chomp, and also the way that he's managed to win slightly more than Robertson in his career. And of course, with them still being the world champions only once there, Chomp in 2019 and Robertson in 2010. Now just getting the cue ball to Neil Robertson once again there from the referee Ben Williams, and well, so far, every single time the player has managed to win the frame, he has gone on to break off from the frame after it. Let's see if it is going to be once again there for Judd jump after a break off by Neil Robertson. Just getting the cue ball on the left hand side of the table once again. And, well, probably the worst of the break off that we've seen. Simply because of the previous two being quite nice out there. And, well, you're going to have to try and go for this red into the left corner. Once again, we have seen sort of fans sneezing in the background where Trump was going for that red earlier this tournament. And let's see if it's going to be a bit of a deja vu. Lampard success 63% so far. And it's going to be going down at this stage unless the red is going to be fluked in, which it won't be. And Neil Robertson will have a chance there, especially with the last piece of traction there from the red coming into the black and making that one available for the break building opportunity. And how many frames will the final be over? So it will be first to 9. So sort of first to 10. Sorry, I don't know why I said first to 9. It will be first to 10, best of 19. And so just usual format, same as Masters. Now Robertson can try and go for this red into the right corner, but he's missed that one by quite some margin. So don't really understand why that was the case, because he could have been left out with something easier at that stage. And well, Choppy's going to have a chance of his own. Not going to have an easy one though, because if this red is going to be taken into the left corner, he's going to have the cue ball to travel into the main bunch of reds, which is going to make getting on the next colour slightly difficult there for Trump, and probably why Judd just using the option of going for a safety shot himself and leaving the chance for Robertson to go for that red into the right corner. Also, you have to make a bit of comments about the opposition players against Judd Trump or Neil Robertson in the final. It will be Mark Selby or Sean Murphy. So we've got 3 English players and 1 player from Australia. And yeah, Robertson hasn't played the shots well at all. And, well, I mean, he's got the same issue that he's had previously, because even though he's left this red pretty much over the pocket, with the black not being possible into the left corner, he's going to have to try and make this one with a lot of either backspin or topspin, preferably topspin, of course. And he has got a bit of the angle here, which is going to make the shot slightly easier, but unless he's got pink available into the left corner, I don't really understand what he was playing for. And no, I actually think that he's got pink available. So from the previous angle, I thought the red was cover up the passing angle there for the pink, but as that doesn't seem to be the case, Trump is going to have a nice little position lined up, because his break building skills are going to depend on the pink at this stage, with the black being possible, but still massively out of position. And the first time he's going to be potted, he'll have to go back on his spot, which is going to be covered up by, well, vast majority of those reds for now. And, well, Trump so just asking one of the fans to behave themselves slightly quieter than they have been so far there from Ben Williams. And I'm supporting Judd. Absolutely fair play. As I say, don't really have a horse in the race, because I ain't got Zington or Ronnie before me here. And if I was to give the slight edge, probably would just about be to Robertson, for the one simple reason of I've seen Trump in the final of the Northern Ireland and also the Champion of Champions. And I know that I've seen Robertson in the final of Saudi Arabia Masters, but that was more of a bit of a Ronnie supporting session for me. So I would like to see the Aussie in the final, and especially, of course, you know, when you have Judd winning the tournament last year, I always like when it's different players winning it, especially with us having 6 different winners right now of the UK Championship for the last 6 years, with Neil Robertson, Ding Wei, Mark Cullen, Ronnie O'Sullivan, and Zhao and Judd Trump himself being those 6 players that I mentioned. And for now, it's still Judd Trump in with a chance of getting himself an early lead here once again, and re-establishing the order of him having that frame advantage over Neil Robertson. Hasn't played a good shot on the blue though. He was trying to get it back on the spot, and yeah, apologises there to Robertson, because he managed to catch the jaw of the middle pocket, therefore getting himself quite lucky to actually have that nice positioning on the red. But still, as I say, his job is far from over, and with the pin going on the black spot being covered up by those reds here, He's going to have to try and make sure he's not going to use the black until he's going to get that pink spot sorted for it to come back on. And then try and make his break around the pink spot at that time. So for now, just going 19 points clear. The first red is going to be taken away into the left corner. Once again, has got away for the cue ball. Travel back for the blue to be taken. And he can try and just get the red into the right corner pocket. Well, I mean, he's going to play for the black right now, which I don't really understand unless he wants to try and use it for the yellow spot, which does seem to be the only spot available at this stage. But he clearly was doing that on purpose, so therefore, I have to say that he probably knows what he's doing. The referee is indeed going to put the black onto the yellow spot, with the yellow probably being the only colour out of position there. If you don't count the black taking his spot there, and it's a nice little shot for Judd to get himself lined up for that yellow spot. I think he'll try and play the black here, get the cue ball down the table, but ultimately managing to get the pink free of any of those reds surrounding it, and well, that's going to free up his chances of making this break. Certainly full of points there for him. He already has managed to accumulate 35 points here as he takes another black into the yellow pocket. So with 107 points still on the table there, I think Trump can try and make this the first frame that we're going to see. One chance and one frame win for one of the players. Of course, that wasn't quite the case for the opening frame, where both players had the chance to get themselves a break started. Had a couple of those in their previous frame. And now Trump, well, playing with fire slightly because he was trying to get the cue ball perfectly in behind those reds. And, well, getting himself lined up perfectly on the pink. Although, you know, slight contact on any one of those two. And it will be a bit of an issue there for Judd. And once again, rolls the pink into the far end of the pocket. Trying to get this cue ball lined up for the red in the nicest possible manner. And with us getting over the half an hour limit with the 2.5 frames taken. Let's see if it is going to be one of those quick frames once again there by Trump, because he doesn't like to have those frames to sort of go over the average time of 25-27 minutes. If you look at the previous stats of this tournament here, I think he was trying to get slightly more of the contact on the red that he was playing for, and still think that he's managed to get this red lined up for the left corner. And yeah, 50 points now for him. Once again, getting the pink, which currently is going to be staying on the black ball spot for a couple of more shots there for him. And I think Trump is doing that on purpose so that he can try and keep that red on the pink spot. And for now, force the referee to be respotting the pink on the black spot every single time until, well, not necessarily going to be out of the picture for the frame, but certainly going to be able to just not bother about the positional play on the pink and just get that red out and away from the pink spot. Get the pink re-established back in its original position and have the frame finished at that stage. Of course, it will be a massive disaster if Trump is to lose the frame at this stage of it, with him having a 62 points of a cushion if he manages to get the blue in, which he will. Gets the cue ball lined up for the red. Once again, so needs a red and a colour combination. So if it is going to be the blue or any colour, that is going to bring more points there to Trump. So pink or black. And it is going to be pink at this stage. My takeaway surprise from this tournament was the resurgence by Ding. I don't really think it was resurgence, really, because, I mean, he hasn't managed to do anything against Trump yesterday. He won the opening 2 frames, which wasn't really in a difficult position anyway. By the way, Trump gets himself over the line, so just one more red to ensure it is going to be no chance at all there for Robertson to come back to the table. And, well, I think this tournament has actually confirmed the players that have been quite good and quite struggling there with Ronnie O'Sullivan. I think you have got Mark Selby coming back to the form, having a good campaign at the English Open, champion of champions, and now getting himself into the semi-final stage against Sean Murphy. And you've got Judd and Neil Robertson. One of them was the runner-up at Belfast at another Home Nation Series. And of course, Neil Robertson, the winner of the first ranking event this season of the Saudi Arabia Masters, which actually got him sorted whatever he says, in ranking points and prize money for the opening part of the season. Managed to get a week off and, well, felt like he has taken a bit more of week off at that time, with him probably struggling to have any sort of performance until that Champion of Champions himself, and getting into the final of the Ria Championship as well. And now he's going to lose this frame though, and not quite a century break, but still the break of 82 points from Judd to get him sorted for a 2-1 lead going into the last frame until we get to that interval, which could be imminent there. And of course it is going to be for the first time of Neil Robertson's week, which is not going to be leading into that interval. Just has to make sure he's not going to actually be losing, and he's going to keep that tendency of whoever's going to break, he's going to lose that frame. Of course, it is going to be Judd now to have a break-off shot. So far, every single time that those two have managed to break off, they've gone on to lose that frame on the opening 3 occasions. And Chomp, well, I can see that. I can see that in the chat and I can see that in the poll, but I could also see that on the score sheet. It is, of course, very marginal, but it's still a gap there for Chomp to try and hold on to. And if he manages to extend it to a 3-1 lead, of course, you'll be halfway into the final. And, of course, we're not going to see the repeat of last year when it was Barry Hawkins against Judd with Barry being knocked out by Selby yesterday. I didn't expect Ding to outperform all of his younger countrymen. Well, I mean, I don't really think that's the case anyway, because you had Pang Jung-soo, you had Zhang Anda, you had Ding Zhuwei, all in the quarter-final, but I don't really think that he's outperformed them because he didn't get to the semi-final. So once again, I'll probably say that Zhang Anda has actually played really well and probably played better than Ding. It was a surprise package there because he managed to beat Gary Wilson in the decider, managed to knock out the world champion Zhao Xington before losing out to the man in form, Sean Murphy. And, well, I say the man in form this season, the winner of the ranking event, the runner-up of another ranking event, of course, the only player to actually do it in the entire season for now, to get himself into 2 ranking event finals. And Judd will try and make sure that's not long going to be the case. Well, of course, it's not long going to be the case anyway, because Robertson managed to take it into the final anyway of the Saudi Arabia Masters, and Trump has done that at the Northern Ireland Open. So whichever one of them will win, actually make it into the ranking event final for the second time here this season. Of course, Murphy can try and do it for the 3rd time if he is to beat Selby. And, well, Byron Champion of Champions, he'll be the first final appearance for Mark Selby this season. He's gone close, as I say, losing out to the eventual runner-up, Joe Yulong, in the semi-final of the English Open. And now talk about the break-off. Once again, it's a chance for Robertson to try and take this red into the corner pocket. He's trying to roll this one in, and he's missed it. Of course, rolling this shot probably is going to indicate that if you only have a chance of leaving the same red away to your opponent, and you're going to have a somewhat close of a positional shot on the black. Of course, it wasn't quite the case. And yeah, once again, if you go back to Ding, I think his performance has been ordinary, I'll be honest with you. He had a 6-4 win over Shu Si, which, you know, you would expect him to win the match over. And Scott Donaldson, I know he's been really heavily in form out there, and he still managed to force a decider against Ding. And I think when the first real test came in, the inconsistency of Ding Zhuwei has gone against him, and therefore has lost him that match. And losing 6 frames from the bounce is never a good sign there for you. And Chomp is going to try and get this red into the pocket. He'll miss it though. Is he going to leave the same red away to Robertson? I think he will. And ultimately, you can say that trying to roll that red into the pocket has actually worked out nicely for Robertson, because he was always going to leave something for Chomp, but it was always going to be something of a difficult shot there for him. And now it's a nice little chance presented to Robertson after a dominant win in the previous frame and the break of 82 points. Let's see if Robertson is going to be able to respond with that similar sort of performance in frame number 4. Get himself lined up for a 2-all draw once again. And yeah, just try and get the cue ball into that yellow. Get it down the table once again. And yeah, having those reds to be taken into the left middle. I mean, he can try and take a couple of reds here. And with the black being on his spot, not surrounded by any of them as well, I think he could have 1, 2, 3, maybe even 4 reds after the opening one that he's taken with the yellow, and to get yourself a decent amount of points. And just try and get yourself started nicely in this frame. Of course, does need the frame win here, because if you're going to allow Judd to run away from you 3-1 with the R prime Stephen Hendry, Ronnie O'Sullivan, you never want to do that, because you know, with the way that Chomp plays, he's always going to have a chance or two, unless you're being absolutely clinical, very much from the get-go in that frame. And well, Robertson hasn't really been clinical so far in this match so far, and once again he's played a nice little shot though. I mean, this tournament success split back has actually been brilliant, and he probably has actually got a bit better once again with a lovely little shot taken nicely off the blue, getting the cue ball exactly onto the pink, and putting the pink out of the game probably was the only slight thing of a problem there for Robertson, but he still can make his way through the black and blue, which is what he's going to try and do right now. 87% there for the tournament back split success, which you have to say is absolutely brilliant if you compare it to any other players. Once again, just getting the cue ball to get himself lined up for a couple of those reds to be taken. For now, he's just trying to get away from Chomp in this frame. And because 15 points is not going to allow you to do it just yet. But if you're going to try and make it into, I don't know, a break of 50 points or so, you're going to be able to stand in with a great chance. Of course, even though he has played a very major split off the reds, neither of them have gone to cover up the black, which is why Robertson manages to switch the run of play there for the cue ball to go onto the black now. And, well, played a bit of a risky shot there, very marginal in terms of seeing this red to be taken into the left corner, but as long as he actually can see enough of that, he should do the job there for him. And so just trying to see the next positional play on the black. Once again, in the previous, minor contact has allowed him to get many of those reds into the open play, although, I mean, they're going to open up as the time goes by, because if you take one of those reds away from you, you're going to be able to have maybe two, maybe three more available to be taken into the right or left corner pocket. You can see so far, very much a speedy match there. 21 seconds per shot taken by Judd, 22 so far by Neil Robertson. And average frame time, 11 minutes, 46 seconds. So, certainly, haven't seen any slow game so far. And now Robertson just trying to get himself lined up for his black to be taken. And he was obviously checking something on the cue ball's point of view. And I think he was trying to play the cue ball on for the shot into the middle. Barely gets the black in though, so has to be careful with those sort of shots approaching. And so once again, just having a look to see if he's going to be able to just get the cue ball to stunt and onto the black. Unless he wants to try and play through the shot on for the blue, which at this stage probably is going to be a bit of a problem there for him, because that's going to put him on the wrong side of the blue. That's why he changes his mind up, goes for the underside of the cue ball, and tries to cannon it to make sure he's going to be able to see enough of the black. And, well, once again, I mean, he was marginal on the previous time. And is he going to be able to see the black here? Well, I think he can. But once again, it just leaves him with such a fine room for error. And, of course, he is going to have to play the shot with topspin to get himself lined up for that red to be taken into left or right corner. And he can try and make it right now. But ultimately, it's still going to put him into a bit of an issue in terms of if he gets lined up for the shot off the red and he's not able to get on the black, I think at that point it will be impossible for him to get on the blue. So has to ensure he's got that cushion of going for the black every single time. And that's probably why he's going to try and make this shot with a different approach there. Going for the backspin on the shot, trying to get around those reds. And, well, it's a nice little shot there. Well played by Robertson. Once again, gets himself out of trouble. He had to do that on a couple of those occasions already in this break. And, well, you have to give him hats off if he manages to win the break in the current visit to the table, because of the position that he managed to inherit. And, well, at least got it into a nice little development point. Once again, playing for the blue, which I said was always going to leave him on the wrong side of the blue. Which is going to put him into a little bit of pressure once again. Trying to take it with topspin, getting the cue ball onto the left side cushion, ball cushion, and the right side cushion to cannon away. and get past the blue line and play the shot absolutely perfectly. Once again there, Robertson. You know, he couldn't have placed the cue ball anywhere better on the table to have both of those reds available. And once again, just a straightforward transition to leave the cue ball for the black to be taken onto either left or right corner. Probably is not going to matter at this stage. And still going to have 3 reds after this one. And with those 3 taken, he's going to have a couple more available there to himself. So all about just trying to make sure he's not going to have any more of those unforced errors. I think he has guaranteed himself the fact that Chomp will need this pink to be taken off the side cushion, which is still going to be an important factor if Robertson is to miss any of those shots in the next couple of minutes here. As he takes the first black in nicely. Of course, didn't really want to comment on it because he had the pink in the way, which made the hand placement slightly difficult there for him. And now about to go 54 points clear with 75 still on the table. So a couple of more shots with the black. And he's going to be able... Well, in fact, I think he's going to need the red and the black combination once again out there to go 68 points clear for him to try and, well, sort of get himself lined up into a comfortable zone, which is still going to leave Judd needing snookers, and you would expect him to come back to the table, but probably at the stage of him actually not having a realistic hope of clinching this frame away from Robertson. Once again, plays the shot with backspin, so gets himself lined up for the blue, which is going to delay that frame-winning opportunity by at least a shot there, because this blue is going to take it into 67 points of a deficit for Chomp to try and hold on to, and 67 still being available at the table. And I think if he manages to push the cue ball slightly through this blue, get himself lined up for a straight shot on the red, or somewhat close to it. Once again, the transition on the black is going to be available with a bit of side spin and top spin. If you get it off the side cushion and the black ball cushion. Or of course, alternative being, you can just try and play it for the blue with a bit of backspin on the cue ball and play the shot really nicely there, Robertson. And, well, complete and utter Una reverse performance, because he had the opening 2 frames being trailed by a couple of chances missed there by each of the players. And in the end, you had frame number 3, 82 points to 0 for Judd, and now you're going to have 73 points and counting to 0 by Neil Robertson. So very quick couple of those frames, and now we're going to go to the interval with the scoreline being back to 2 each. So still nothing to separate the 2 by far best players of this tournament campaign. And Neil Robertson said himself that he was really looking forward to this match in his pre-match interview. And so far, the match has lived up to all the expectations, with it being very quick, very energetic, and very interesting to see out there. Still, as you can see, 82 points for each in terms of the highest break made in the match. And Robertson can still try and fight for a century break now, because he's going to have both of those reds available as he takes the first black in, and of the position that he managed to develop into a frame-winning chance for him to make, and to be on for a potential 1-3-2 of a break is nothing short of spectacular, as has been his form throughout the tournament, throughout the entire week here so far. And, well, the UK Championship being the first Triple Crown event, you have to say, so far, he has managed to deliver all sort of action and all sorts of brilliance there from the players. Now, this black for the century break being made, and it is, once again, Neil Robertson making sure it is nothing in between the world number 1 and the world number 3 right now. And apart from those numbers, you are going to have, well, certainly 2 frames each taken now. And the break of 105 here from Robertson, extending that one to 107. Having the green to be taken into its own pocket. And apart from the pink, which currently is sitting on the side cushion, we still could have a total clearance to try and see on our hands. As, well, play the shot with a bit of a weird angle there on the blue. So, underrun massively. And probably 119 at this stage will be the maximum that Robertson can achieve at this. If he gets the blue in, he was trying to do something with the cue ball. And in the end, he's going to miss the blue. But in the end, as I say, it's still going to be a brilliant performance there from Neil Robertson. And now, with nothing to separate the 2 players, 2 frames each going into frame number 5, we are going to have the intermission of 15 minutes, which, by the way, is going to be longer than any of those frames that we have seen. Brilliant stuff there from the 2 players. Brilliant performance. and brilliant snooker that we have seen as fans. Now, in 15 minutes time, we'll come back to see which one of them will actually make it into the final. Looking forward to that. Speak to you soon. Right then, everyone, we are back with the intermission now, finishing with 15 minutes flying over us, and let's see which one of the players will be able to get their hands on the final spot first, and then possibly on the trophy of winning the entire tournament here, because both of them will be very close to doing that, and especially if you talk about this match, Robertson and Chomp both have managed to win 2 of the opening 4 frames, with well, basically nothing to separate them. Once again, it is going to be Neil Robertson to break off. And for now, of course, in every single time in the opening 4 frames, whoever breaks off is going to lose out on that frame. That has been the case for now. And, well, let's see if this is going to be put to bed right now. Judd Chomp, once again, has got a little chance of going for this red into the right corner. And average shot time, as you can see, 21 seconds for Chomp and 20 seconds for Robertson. Average frame time is going to be way under 15 minutes now. And let's see if that will be the case once again there. 11 minutes 52 seconds is the average frame time after the opening 4. And yeah, I mean, Chomp is looking for this red to be taken into the left corner for now. Let's see if he's going to be able to make it. He won't. And this could be an early start now for Neil Robertson. Chomp disappointed there with him not making this red into the pocket. And he gives away a chance now to Neil Robertson. As I say, the same red is going to be possible. And, well, you can see from the reaction on Chomp's face that he wasn't happy with it. You can understand why. Push the cue ball to go into the black a bit further. So that's going to leave Robertson needing a perfect shot there for him to try and get positional shot on the black. And in the end, just powering through the cue ball, getting himself lined up for the pink to be taken into the right corner. And yeah, just having a look to see if he's going to be able to go for that black to be taken into the right corner. Or, as I say, he'll have to go for the pink to be taken into the right middle. And, well, once again, he has a good look at this black, because even if he can actually pot it, he still has to make sure he's going to be able to get the cue ball into a position from which he can actually get himself lined up for the red to be taken. Manages to play the shot in terms of getting the black in, but that's probably going to be it there for him. Unless he goes for that difficult red to be taken into the left middle now. It was always going to be dependent on those two reds that he kind of got into each other. And, well, I think logical point of view, he's going to have to try and play a safety shot now. Get one of those reds closer to the side cushion. Get the cue ball into the zone of the yellow pocket. And 8 points is going to be the end of Neil Robertson for now. And he goes back to Judd Chomp at this stage of the frame. So it's not going to be a repeat of third or fourth frames where he had only one chance there, which either of the players needed to get themselves a break of 82 and 114 points respectively, which of course at that stage of the frame meant that they were the winners of frames number 3 and 4. So Chomp going for an easy shot there, just trying to roll the cue ball into those reds, but in the end missing out with the minor bit of power. And I think Robertson will ask Chomp to play the shot at the same time once again. So just trying to place the cue ball into a similar sort of zone. So very close there for Chomp to making contact with those reds, but stopping just about in time there to make sure that wasn't the case. And Ben Williams will just ask Chomp to ensure that he's happy with the position of the white. It shouldn't matter too much at this stage, but he's having a bit of a conversation with the referee. So just using the screen there with Ben Williams. Yep, so just getting that sorted, and the cue ball now is placed perfectly. So attempt number 2 coming up. As I say, just a touch more power. Not going to do a lot of damage for Chomp, you would think at this stage, but he has played it significantly with more power. So, I mean, unless he's left with Blant on, he'll be alright, but of course, doesn't really want to be giving a chance away to Robertson. And that's exactly what Neil was having a look at. Yeah, you'll have to adjust the Blant massively there to make one of those reds to drop into the right corner. Once again, we'll have to try and get the cue ball away from the action of the reds and onto the ball colours. But still could try and use it as a potential shot to nothing there. As long as he guarantees himself a nice little positional play on the cue ball. But if I was him, I probably would have to just go for a safety shot now, which I think is something that he switched his mind on towards. I'm clearly not feeling that he's going to be worth taking that shot on. And still, of course, has to make sure he gets the cue ball to the right-hand side of the table, because otherwise the same plan can be taken by Chomp in the way that he's going to get the cue ball into the safe zone anyway. And can try and go for making that adjustment on the plant that he needs. Come on, Robot. Well, listen, you had Chomp dominate that by 72%. He's now dropped down to 70%, and it has turned into a first to 4 match, of course, with both players taking in early 2 frames each. And well, the 5th frame does seem to start a bit slower than the previous 4. Last pot time, as you can see, 18 minutes there for Chomp. And probably doesn't sound that bad, to be fair. But, of course, that goes without the interval. Therefore, it is going to be 33 minutes of the actual time since his last pot. And just having a look to see, I mean, Robertson has managed to play a decent safety shot, but he's still left a sign of that red away to Trump, and he can try and go for this red now to take it into the corner. I think he's missed it though. And let's see if the same red is going to be possible there into the green pocket now for Robertson. Because it was always going to be that red which Trump was going to leave or not leave there. Away to Robertson. And in the end, it does seem like he's managed to get away with this one in terms of he didn't have the cue ball perfectly on the black ball cushion. But still, that red probably wouldn't go into the green pocket, making the shot impossible there for Robertson. And he can just try and get this one towards the left side cushion. Get the cue ball onto the ball cushion once again. And have a bit of distance in between the target reds and the cue ball itself. So Trump having a look to see if he's going to be able to go for the edge of those reds. I think he's going to be able to do that now. And plays the shot nicely in terms of the cue ball certainly going to have, well, its location changed to a safe zone for now. And comfortably within the D line. Well, nice shot there. Well played by Trump. And I think he's going to force Robertson to try and play into the pack here, which inevitably will free up a couple of those reds into play and make their safety shot bit tricky there for him. Now plays it with good of right hand spin. So he's going to get the cue ball to the top part of the table, though he has got some of those reds to go closer to the pocket, but I think he's just about going to have enough power on the cue ball to ensure that that red is left quite close to the left corner. Probably isn't going to be possible from this position here to Trump. And he's going to have to try and settle for one more safety shot, which, I mean, probably is not going to be such an easy shot for him anyway. Because, I mean, where are you going to find it from? Right-hand side of the table is covered up there. Left-hand side, it's impossible for you to find a way in between the gap of those reds. And, well, I mean, he's tried to do that, and it's a shot well played there by Judd because it was really difficult, although he still got the brown midway through the shot there with the cue ball. And he's going to leave a long shot available now to Robertson. Of course, Robertson hasn't been too clinical with those, and especially with having the angle to try and go for the black to be set up. Had it not been covered up by both of those reds into left and right corner pocket, it would have been a nice little chance there for Robertson. And in the end, yeah, he's made the mess of that shot. And I think he's left the red on there for Trump. So, once again there, just like it was in the opening frame of the first mini session, the first chance wasn't taken by Robertson, and then Trump was able to take his chance away from him and produce a break of 45 points at that time to get him set up nicely for taking the opening frame. Once again, gets the red into the right corner, which was kindly left out to him by Neil Robertson. And now he's got, of course, the previous shot from Robertson has actually changed everything because he had the black covered up there. He had very few reds available in open play. And now Trump is going to have all of those reds and also the black, pink and blue. All three of those are going to be set up perfectly on their spots and not going to have any of the reds in the way. So for now, after taking the blue, for the first time of asking, he will be transition onto the black here. And I think you'll have 4 reds after this one taken for sure. Maybe even the 5th one is going to be there underneath the pack. And you can try and make it into a substantial break here, Trump, because, you know, getting 54 points or so, 42 points of the advantage over Robertson is going to be very handy there for him going into the endgame part of the frame number 5. And so far in the match, you can see 30 plus breaks, only 2 of those, total points 170, highest break 82 points, and the average break when it was more than 2 pots, 51.7 there for him. And a break of 22 now for Trump. 10 points is the difference in between the two players, but that number should increase massively with Trump getting one of those, well, semi-difficult reds out of the way. Playing that one along the black ball cushion, got really straight on that red and manages to play a really nice shot there with the backspin. Once again, has himself set up with a prime position for the black and re-establishes control over all of those reds. So as I say, at least 3 more available there to him, which will put him on to 54 points if he's going to get all of them taken with the black. And I think one more, which he could have taken there, but yeah, he was really confused there with the way he's played this shot, and I think he got a really bad contact on the cue ball. He was very quick to rise up from his position, and he's still gonna be on the black, but I think he was clearly trying to initiate a lot more of a contact than he has managed to. And this black still has to make sure he's going to be able to roll this one in. 86% so far for the positional play, and 91 overall in the quarterfinal. And well, he's played a good shot on the black here, but he probably run himself in an awkward spot once again there in terms of taking the next red into the right middle. You can try and take this one with a lot of backspin once again there on the cue ball. Try and hold it for the black, and plays the shot nicely once again there by just getting the pot in and the angle on the black. He can try and get this one into the middle once again there, but it's all about where the next red is coming from there once again there for him. So 27 points is the advantage at this stage. So you can try and get the black on the cushion, or you can try and roll it into the middle. Depends on the position that he actually has himself lined up here for the shot. Doesn't seem to make his mind up just now. Of course, rolling up to the black wouldn't make any sort of sense there for him, because Robertson will always have the chance of just rolling up to the left-hand side of the bunch and not leaving any of those available reds on there for Trump. And when I say any of them, there's only one of them, which is going to be a guarantee there to be going into the left, middle and right corner. And apart from that, it is going to be a bit of an issue here for Trump. And yeah, I think he is actually going to try and roll the cue ball onto the black. So unless he gets super close to it and doesn't allow Robertson to go off the side cushion, it is going to be a straightforward shot there for Robertson to get himself out of that problem. Match time just gone over an hour. Frame time here is already going to be slightly more than the average frame time so far of 11 minutes and a half. This one is going to go over 13 minutes mark right now. And once again, as I say, don't really understand the short selection from Trump, because if you're going to try and do it with a black, try and put it on the side cushion maybe. Because, you know, Robertson is the one playing catch-up, and he was always going to need the black for him to have the best possible chance of getting back in the frame. And in the end, just roll the cue ball into the bunch, no problem. And now it's going to have Trump to roll the cue ball away from the main bunch. So cross double set up once again there for Robertson. Try and get one of those reds away from the side cushion and into the main bunch. Didn't really want to have any sort of cannon into the other red. And yeah, just having a look to see if he's left this red over to Trump, because if he has, he'll be a decent long shot at him once again. But I think the blue is going to be in the way. And also, he's going to have the yellow to try and bridge over there in terms of him playing the cue ball diagonally into the right corner, and has to go against that option. So just a slight contact with one of those reds, get the cue ball of two cushions once again onto the zone, which is going to lead him in behind the brown. Also was the intention, and the execution wasn't quite there for him. In the end, he's going to have this one given away here to Robertson. So 27 points is the difference between Trump and Robertson at this stage. As I say, it's still not going to be substantial enough there, especially with Robertson taking that red out of the side cushion previously. But don't think he's going to go for the easiest reds. I think he'll just try and get himself lined up for the top part of the table there with the cue ball. And he's going to roll this red in nicely, to be fair. Now, where's the cue ball going to finish? Is he going to be on the brown? Probably his last hope there of landing on the colour. I mean, he is on the brown in terms of he can try and roll it into the middle. But I don't really see a way there for him to get the cue ball back onto the lower part of the table. So, logical probably is going to have to be a shot. Just trying to roll the cue ball as close to the brown as possible. Try and make sure he's going to cover up the right-hand side of the table. And, I mean, the right side cushion there for Trump to try and get that cue ball into. And in the end, it is going to be just 1 point scored there by Robertson. But it's very important for him, of course, to line that snooker up on Trump. And tournament snooker escape success, 92% for Judd, so certainly a brilliant percentage out there, but he's not going to have any of those reds on the cushion, which is going to get those risk very high up there for him. And just having a look to see if he's going to be able to get through to the bunch of those reds on the left-hand side of the table here. Because he's got 3 of those right underneath the pink in a nice little spine formed up. And he's got 4 more reds being spread out across the right-hand side of the lower part of the table. With the lowest one being very close to the black ball spot. And the black itself being very close to the black ball cushion. And, well, the left-hand side is going to be there for Trump. And Robertson clearly doing enough to ensure that right-hand side wasn't available here for Trump. And, well, he's gone for the shot into the middle. So, trying to get the cue ball to be positioned exactly into the spine. And has he managed to cover up the position away here from Robertson? And has he left him in with a chance here? Especially if this red is going to be possible into the right middle. He's going to be in with a great chance of stealing this frame away from Trump. And that seemed to be the case. Well, it's a questionable shot selection there from Trump in that case. Because I don't really understand what he was trying to play for. But what I certainly understand is Neil Robertson is in with a great chance of finding himself ahead in this match for the first time here. After being on the backhand twice there. 1-0 and 2-1 down. Can he make it 3-2 of a deficit for Judd to try and overcome. And get himself, as I say, just one step closer to that to the final spot. And, well, he's certainly, whoever it is going to be, if it is going to be Judd or Neil Robertson, if they're going to be able to sustain that performance and the level they have been playing so far throughout the entire tournament, in the remainder of the semi-final, they're going to be favourites no matter who they face. If it's going to be Sean Murphy or Mark Selby into the final, because A, as I say, they're going to be higher rated seeds. Of course, if in case of Trump overcoming this frame and actually getting himself into the final, he'll be the defending champion, looking to make it 2 on the bounce for the first time in 6 years. Ever since that, Ronnie O'Sullivan managed to do it in 2018 and 2017. So Robertson for now just trying to get those reds away from the pink here to ensure he's going to have the cue ball placement in the perfect places now. Got 4 reds that he can try and go through here after it takes the pink into the right middle. As I said, I don't think you'll need the black at this stage because, you know, it's always preferable for you to have that black to try and make your break through that shot. And ultimately, he's going to have the pink in the middle of the action. So I think he's just going to try and avoid that little temptation of going for the black for the simple reason of, you know, he doesn't need to take that risk on the shot, which he will be an inevitable risk because of the position of the black. But he's run himself out of position on this pink now, so has to take the blue into the yellow pocket. So, well, I don't know if he's taken the eye off the pot or he's just hasn't actually caught the red too well. The side didn't work on the cue ball, but whatever it was, he needs a brilliant shot now on the blue. And he absolutely hammers that one into the yellow pocket beautifully. Once again, beautiful recovery shot once again. So, I mean, he's lined up perfectly on the red to be taken into the right corner. And so is the shot into the right middle there available. And just try and get the cue ball off the side cushion. And this time around to have the position on the pink. So to go 8 points clear. So 2 more reds taken and probably yellow to be frame ball for Robertson. After he manages to have a sort of a break of 50 odd points. For him to get into that picture anyway, ahead by 8 points as you can see. And at the point where he reaches the colour phase, it will be only 27 points on the table. So if he takes those 2 reds with pink once again, it will be 22 points of a gap. So yellow or green for him to be over the line at that stage. Once again, plays the shot with a lot of backspin, but I think he's going to have the cue ball to betray him here. And, well, made a mess of that, and only has himself to blame because he was having a wonderful time with this position, but running himself completely out of position on the pink. He won't be able to go for a shot now of trying to get the cue ball to try and play the blue. And I think he's just trying to get the snooker lines up with the way that he's managed to have this cue ball set up. And positional success for Robertson, 89%. And in comparison to the quarterfinal being 92% against Pang Jung-soo. And, ooh, he's made the mess of that. He's made an absolute mess of that because he was trying to get minimal contact on those two. And in the end, ooh, he's given a foul away. And he's also going to put himself under all sorts of scrutiny because it is going to be free ball given away to Chomp. And, well, we can try and ask Robertson to play the snooker escape from this position, or he can try and get himself lined up for the green to try and take it. I think Robertson is getting this one. He's on fire for the last months. Well, he hasn't been on fire for the last moments. As I say, absolutely made the mess of that shot. And, well, from him being the dominant force in the frame and being so close to making the clearance, in the end, he's going to put himself in massive issues here. And Chomp clearly trying to get this blue into the pocket. And, ooh, he's going to stay out there. And just about will. So, Robertson acknowledging the way that Chomp has played that shot. Obviously trying to make it as clever as he possibly can. Because if he gets the blue in with a free ball chance, he was always going to leave himself nicely set up for a snooker to be lined up for Robertson. And of course, if he manages to lose the blue like he did, he's still going to have Robertson to be in a difficult position there with the cue ball being in behind the brown and green. So has to play this one with power, try and get a bit of contact in between those two. And is he going to drop the cue ball? Has he managed to get into the red first? I think he got the pink first, and that's going to leave him with probably having to play this shot one more time. Once again, just having a look at the replay. And, I think he got the red first, so I think he's going to be able to get away with this one. I mean, the referee doesn't feel that. But as I say, I thought he got the red first. Yeah, as I say, I think that's what the assistant referee is going to tell him. Yeah, it was the red first, and yeah, now referee just has to put the pink back because he was moved the pink, and so Chomp just having a look to see. I think he's clearly saying to Robertson that he had no clue which one hit first. So a bit of a confusion there, and referee clearly thought that, he hit the pink first, which I actually thought so as well, until I looked at the replay. And you can clearly see that he hit the red first, then cannon the cue ball into the pink. So now, Matt Williams just has to try and put the pink exactly where he was previously, which is going to put it a bit of time. And so yeah, once again, just showing the replay of Robertson playing that red into the right side. Yeah, referee will have to get the pink to be going into another position as well. And same will go for the red taken. So the pink. Yeah, so once again, just taking a bit of time. And doing the same thing with red now, trying to get the position back to exactly to what it was previously. Of course, referee was a bit too eager to call the... And Trump doesn't seem to be happy with it. So Trump just asking the referee what the position on the white was looking like, and the referee saying that he didn't touch the white. So he obviously has been left out at exactly the same spot. So, I mean, he's still in with a chance now for Trump to take this red after all the confusion. And he can try and get this one into the right corner, get the cue ball to go to the top part of the table. Or, I mean, he's trying to play it to the left-hand side of the table, which you can understand because he's got more of a chance of getting the cue ball safe. But I think it was always going to be a bit of an impossible shot there for him to try and get even close to the pocket. So I wouldn't actually count out the fact that he's played a safety shot at that time. And once again, back to Robertson it goes. So just trying to play the cue ball into the cushion first intentionally to get the red as far away from the cue ball as possible. Doing it off the side cushion is actually playing a really nice shot out there. And, well, once again a transition is there for Trump to try and take this cue ball onto this red. Try and play to the top part of the table. And I thought he was going to try and transition this one. And in the end he's going to leave this red very close to the pink and the blue. So Robertson has to be careful that he tries to make it in his favour and indeed doesn't drop blue or pink. Ooh, he's played the shot really nicely out there and he's managed to get the cue ball right in behind the pink. So even though it should still be a relatively easy escape there for Trump, he still has to control the way that he hits the red. And, well, first of all, of course, he has to try and hit it and leave it with a way that Robertson can't try and get the cue ball onto the lower part of the table while still leaving red very close to the blue and the pink. And, yeah, that's what he's looking at. So Trump managed to get the red first time of asking, so still leaves Robertson with 3 points advantage. As the Aussie will try and get the cue ball into that zone of the right-hand side of the table. And he's playing the shot really nicely now because he's going to have Trump in trouble. That red is going to be very close to the blues. Now, if you drop the blue, of course, at this stage, and you leave a red on, you'll probably be a frame to your opponent. So Trump has to be very careful with this one. And Robertson managing to get this position in his favour massively after the opening shot actually being in favour of Trump is quite an achievement there for him. Because I think you have to ask the question first and foremost whether Trump can get through to the left-hand side of the table in place of the brown. Probably can't. So he can try and get the cue ball onto the right side cushion, get it to cannon away onto that red and have himself set up for a bit more of a safety battle. But, well, he's going to go for the black ball cushion escape, but that way he has to judge the power absolutely perfectly. And, yeah, he's a mile away from that. So he is going to be attempt number 2. And, well, I mean, Robertson having a look to see if he's going to try and take the position away from Trump here. So maybe just looking to see whether he's going to be able to line up even more of a difficult snooker there for Trump. Now, let's have a look at this. Because, I mean, I will be surprised at that stage. Because, as I say, if Trump misses the red a couple more of those occasions, he could get himself into a situation where it is somewhat close to 35 points. And probably that's why Robertson is going to convert back to the original decision and just ask the Trump to put it back and try and have attempt number 2 at least from this position. Because 7 points right now is the advantage for Robertson, but you know, if you take it into sort of 7 more of those times, it will be 35 points exactly of the advantage. And with the red being so close to the blue, I can't really see Trump getting close to it without being very, very close to potting the blue. And, well, once again, finally a miss is called. Robertson. So free ball on this occasion, of course, which does change the picture slightly, but not to the extent that Robertson will try and get himself to the table. So once again, ask Trump to have attempt number 3 at this stage. And Robertson, come on, Robert, well, see now, we had a couple of people saying that for Trump, and now 68%, so Trump is losing a bit of a percentage of the votes there. Trying to, well, go from 75 to 100 there, of course, at the opening start of this match. Now it's dropped to 68. And once again, attempt number 2. Getting very close to the black here. And does have a chance there of catching this red. And it's a decent effort. And it's a really nice effort there from Trump, because I thought he could be there all day, especially with the way that this red could have been potted towards the blue. And well, he's managed to do it on the 3rd time of asking. So once again, he goes back to Robertson. What can Neil do out of this position to get himself into a situation of getting this red as close as possible to this blue? And I think he's managed to play it once again really nicely. And, well, he's going to force jump into even more of an issue, because this time, unless he can try and play it off the bulk, I think he's got absolutely no chance of playing this one off the black ball cushion once again. So trying to roll the cue ball towards that red once more. And doesn't want to leave a touching ball here, of course, but ultimately I think he's left Robertson in with a chance of getting the cue ball very far away here from the target red. Inside the on, absolutely no one's really. It's not Ronnie or Zington playing, so as I say, I don't really care. And may the best man win. For now it is advantage Robertson, because he's got this red in very much a lot of trouble in terms of, I mean, Trump can actually try and get this cue ball into the ball cushion first, try and cannon it into this red, but still has to do it in the way that cue ball is not going to have enough momentum to cannon into the blue ball instead. And we'll play it, play it very marginally. I think he was trying to get Robertson into a bit of trouble, because of course if you play it into the ball cushion first shot, Robertson is going to have the momentum once again here. You know, with that blue being so close to the yellow pocket, it is going to be an almighty weapon for one of those two players. So at this stage, probably it is going to be advantage Trump, because, well, right now, I can't really see Robertson getting the edge of this red in the way that he's not going to drop the blue in. So he's going to try and, well, put a lot of left side spin on the cue ball now, try and bounce it away from the cushion and into that red. So a couple of important shots coming up, especially with him having to play the shot off the rest. Now, frame time has gone over half an hour, and it's the first time, well, it's a bad effort there from Robertson, because he doesn't manage to get the red in. So after getting 8 points off the foul shots, he will be able to get this one lined up. So John just asking Robertson to play the shot from the position that he got himself onto, and Robertson managed to take it now. So back to Chomp it goes. Yeah, we could be here for a while, is what I'm going to tell you. But of course, it's very interesting to see which one of the players will actually be able to do it. And, well, Trump doing the same thing that Robertson has done and actually missing the full contact on the red. And Robertson just saying that you can try and play it where it actually is right now. And Trump doing that. So once again, back to Robertson and goals. 11 points is the advantage as things stand in favour of Neil. And well, it's not really going to leave him into anything significant, because apart from the black, all the colours seem to be in a possible position. With this blue dilemma being sorted, probably it will be still 50-50 of a chance. And Robertson managing to have the first shot taken. Just getting the slight edge of that red on the way back after cannoning the cue ball onto that cushion. And trying to get around the red one more time. And it is going to be, once again, 4 points given away here. So, 4 points given away to Robertson. And just asking the referee to put the cue ball back where he was. So now 15 points. I mean, if it does build onto, I don't know, if it does build up onto, I don't know, 22 points or so, it'll just require Trump to sort of go for the black himself. And therefore, trying to, well, apply the pressure on Trump at that stage, because for now, you can see the pink is probably in the opposite side of the table there, apart from the black. And after a bit of a discussion, the cue ball has been respotted back to its original position. So Trump have attempt number 2, brushing the red on the left-hand side. And back to Robertson he goes. So as I say, we could be here for a good while, especially if they just continue to play the ball cushion first shot and trying to get the red on the way back. Ultimately, of course, they'll try and get it away from the blue enough so that one of the players is able to get it in significant zone. And Robertson trying to do that, getting the cue ball to be placed on the bulk line exactly, and just putting a bit of distance in between this red and the cue ball. Of course, it's going to make the shot a bit more difficult there from John's point of view, but he manages to do it. And once again, back to Robertson it goes. So The momentum does seem to be swinging both ways, and one time Robertson has got it. The other time he misses a shot off the red, and Trump he can try and apply a bit of pressure of his own. But realistically, unless you're going to have the full length on the table between the cue ball, you're not really going to challenge a professional into making a mistake. But Robertson is able to go beyond the bulk line now and put a bit of significant distance in between the cue ball and the red. So you can try and have a look to see if he's going to be able to get this one on the way back. Trump is not able to do so. And, well, as I say, at this stage, it is going to be important. And I think, yeah, so Robertson is just going to ask the cue ball to be put back exactly where it was. 19 points is the difference. And 35 is the gap right now. So if he gets himself 28 points, he's going to be able to not require the black. So he needs one more foul shot for Robertson to be able to sort of allow Trump not to be playing onto the black. And, well, Trump manages to get the red away from that blue zone. To much appreciation there. You can hear from the crowd. And now he is going to have a chance of Robertson just trying to get the cue ball onto a position of... he can't really access the red there from Trump's point of view. Has to catch a very thin edge, though, of this red to get it down the table. And keep the red itself very close to the bulk line. Or at least the bulk cushion there, preferably. So, to seem to go away from a stalemate. And, well, I mean, clearly it wasn't available there. The shot that I mentioned. And Robertson has played a decent shot now with him placing the cue ball onto the bulk cushion. But he has actually left this red available to be taken into the right middle. And you can see last pot time, 17.5 minutes. So majority of those points have all come from foul shots. And to be fair, when you have so much of those early sort of exchanges there in the opening 4 frames. Now let's see if you're going to have Trump being able to go for this red into the right middle. And he will. Does he pot it? Yes, he does. Now he's got himself into a great chance of, well, at least getting this gap down. And of course, as I say, he doesn't need the black as it stands for him to drop the blue in, which is already hanging over the yellow pocket. And it's all about just trying to get this traction on the yellow. And positional play is going to be difficult there for him. Overrun there slightly. And yeah, probably overrun to an extent. He can't take the yellow on at all. So, at least we got ourselves into a position where we know it's going to happen soon. But probably not quite now. 13 points is the difference. And of course, he'll mean that he'll still require Trump to take the pink away. And he's managed to play a nice little shot there, getting a little kiss off the blue as well. And I mean, I say it's a nice shot. It's a really nice shot there for the simple reason of you've got yellow pretty much as far away from cushions as you possibly can be on the, well, being very next to the blue ball line. Blue ball spot, I mean. And, well, carrying the cue ball into the left-hand side of the table is possible. But that way, you're always risking leaving that yellow very close to the right middle. And as I say, you got no more backup of leaving that position away to Trump and just hoping that he's not going to be able to get on the black because he doesn't need the black right now. And, well, I mean, Trump has got a chance now of going for this yellow. And in the end, he refuses straight away. So clearly feeling that Robertson can get him onto a decent position and a lot better than that. So, and the referee will try and re-establish the cue ball back to original position. So just having a look to see if he's going to be happy with it. Robertson, once again, has been, of course, the slowest frame of all. Also had the most drama. Foul points 38 so far. And no sign that that's going to be the last one. With Robertson yet to hit the yellow, of course. And he hit that one completely on the opposite side to the previous one. And, well, as I say, you're always going to be doubting yourself there from Judd Trump's point of view, because I reckon he should have gone for that yellow into the green pocket and tried to do it. In the end, he's not going to be able to do that here. And back to Trump it goes. So one more safety battle. Let's see if we're going to have any more of foul points. Can you show us video of the back? Absolutely not, because it's social media, and as YouTube being part of it, you're not allowed to show the actual footage of the sports event. Otherwise, you'll get banned in no time, especially with being a Triple Crown event. Pretty sure you'll have WSD people checking that all the time. Once back to Robertson once again it goes. Frame time is going to go over 40 minutes, and Robertson wasn't happy with the way he played the shot straight away. And well, he's going to push the yellow towards the green pocket, but still not in the way that he's going to leave over the pocket. So could have played the shot better, but in the end he's not going to have a death sentence in terms of losing the frame here for himself. Where to watch live streaming? It depends where you're watching it from, but WSD Play or TNT Sports is the way to do it. And now, can he go for this long shot jump? He will, and he'll miss it, and well, could cost him the frame at this stage, because he's put the pink onto the right side cushion, and in the end, he's going to have a chance now, Robertson, to win the frame. Doesn't matter, you're doing good. Don't forget to hydrate. Lol, yes, thank you. I will do in a bit once the frame is over. And, well, I thought it was going to be over, but not quite yet, because 11 points of a difference after Robertson manages to take the yellow in. And, well, runs himself out of position on the green. I think he was trying to get the cue ball past the brown without touching it. And probably done a very similar job of Ronnie O'Sullivan in his match against Joey Long. Trying to get on the green at that time, and both of the players have actually found themselves being snookered. So, well, I think from the left-hand side, if you can't see any of the green, you can try and hit the cue ball onto the left-hand side of the table. And that way, just push the green onto a place which you can't pot it from. As I say, as it stands, he's still going to have a massive advantage now, Robertson, because I think at this stage, you're going to have, well, Trump certainly is going to need the pink. Whether he'll need the black or not is going to be the points. But I don't understand why he's trying to play this shot in such a way, because he's basically just put the green over the right middle. And that could be very costly there for him. Now, let's do the maths here. So, if Robertson gets, if Trump, gets himself all points but the black, which is going to be 18 points, that's going to get him onto 77, which is still going to require the black. Otherwise, Robertson will be able to force a respot. So, yeah, leaving that yellow over the pocket was very costly there for him. And so he's got almighty of a clearance to try and pursue it, for him to be over the line here. And, well, try and re-establish himself as the dominant force once more. So, getting the cue ball to be aimed towards the green. Trying to get the white along the entire table. And back for the brown. It's a decent effort. Once again, it's not perfect. But he has managed to play the shot in a way that he gives himself with a chance. And once again, 8 points behind. He's going to be able to go 1 point clear if he gets the brown and blue in. Gets the brown in. And he's going to be the wrong side of the blue though. But of course, the good news for him is going to be the fact of, if he does go 1 point clear, he does only need the pink to guarantee himself a respot. And Robertson, if he gets the pink, he doesn't guarantee himself anything at all. So that 1 point could still be crucial there for Trump. And as he has a look at the scoreboard, I think he'll know that better than anyone. So very often, very rarely I should say, you see frames going into 70 points scored by each of the players. With Trump getting quite close there to getting the cue ball to drop after the blue. But in the end, as the cue ball is going to stay out, he can try and go for this pink, as I say. Roll it along the side cushion, and well, if he is going to leave it over the pocket there for Robertson, he's still not going to leave him a clearance chance there, with the black being out of position massively. And he's going to go for it. He'll miss it though, and he is going to leave it over the pocket there. So, as I said, I don't really think it is going to matter there for Robertson, because pink doesn't have any value for him at all. And well, he's having a look to see if he's going to have this pink taken into the yellow pocket. But as I say, it's all about just trying to get on the black. And, well, we're certainly not going to see a respot now, because it was a decent effort there from Robertson, but he was never going to get the position on the black that he was looking for. So now, 76 plays 71 in favour of Neil Robertson, and it is going to be black ball gain. 5 points is the difference in between the two players. And is he going to be 80 points scored there for Robertson, or is it going to be 78 for Judd to actually win this frame? Doesn't look like we have a respot now in our hands, because the cue ball is going to go to the top part of the table, and the black is going to be sitting exactly on the middle of the black ball cushion, with the frame time reaching 46 minutes. By the way, we have 350 people watching, so thank you every one of you. Feel free to hit the like button on the stream and subscribe to the channel if you want to. We will have the final session for you tomorrow, consisting of 2 sessions, as I say, with the first to 10 best of 19 being played in between either Judd, Neil Robertson, and the second player of the pairing, Mark Selby, against John Murphy. Nice little shot though by Chomp to get him out of trouble and get the cube on the black to be separated by a long way. And I think we've reached a point where this frame probably has lasted longer than all the previous 4 combined together, which probably is absolutely extraordinary. But Robertson has played an absolute beauty right now, and wow, he could not have played a better shot than this, because he's going to have the cue ball placed perfectly in the middle of the ball cushion and very close to it. And same goes for the black. So who won this frame? No one for now. And it is going to be a very important shot now for Chomp, because he's going to have the black heading towards the yellow pocket. And has he left a long shot available now for Robertson? He's very similar to the one that Chomp has gone for on the yellow. He's missed it and he's put it over the pocket. So Robertson will know that. And pocket long pot success stat is 3 out of 4 long shots that he's tried to attempt into the yellow pocket he's managed to take. If it's going to be 4 out of 5, or is he going to try and refuse it at all? I think he'll try and go for it. And that's what I thought. He's trying to go for a cross double, and the black is going to be in, and Neil Robertson is going to win the frame under most bizarre circumstances. And well, it has been a brilliant performance there from Neil, and he's going to get himself ahead for the first time in this match. And it is now going to be Neil Robertson 3, Judd 2. And well, whether it was a Snickers bar, he certainly deserves one after the break. It was a really lengthy frame out there for him. And as I say, the opening 4 frames has lasted around 50 minutes. And in the end, and who you predict to win this match? I said Robertson just for the sake of it, because I don't understand why he's not getting all the percentage of the votes. 6-4 win by Judd. I could still see that coming, but you'll have to win 4 of the last 5 frames, which I can't really see happening at this stage now, especially after him losing such an important frame. It was very important for whoever actually managed to win it to get over the line, and in the end that was Neil Robertson after a brilliant cross double to get the black dropped into the green pocket. And well, it already feels like this could be a huge moment in this match. And after 2 and a bit hours since the match has started, let's see what 6th frame is going to have. Is he going to be once again the ace in the back restore and back to the action, or is he going to be Neil Robertson trying to build on that momentum and getting himself 3rd frame on the bounce? Trump will be distraught losing that frame. You will be, as I say. I think it would have been the same if Robertson lost it. And that's why it was very important for any one of the players to actually win it, take it away from your opponent. But I think it was slightly more important for Robertson, because he manages to break the sequence. He gets himself 2 frames on the bounce for the first time in this match, and he's going to find himself ahead of this encounter as well for the first time. And he's also a bit of an underdog going into the starting point for this match. So now let's see what we're going to have for us in store for frame number 6. Has turned into a very important frame for Judd now, because if Robertson needs to win 3 on the bounce and go 2 frames clear away from Judd, no matter how well he's been playing, he ain't going to be able to sort of dominate the remainder of the match against Neil Robertson with the way that he's played so far today. And Neil Robertson, you too, come on Robertson. Well, he's getting all the love in the chat now, which is understandable, of course, but I still don't think it's game over there from Chom's point of view, because he can still try and come back into this one. Destroy Chom 6-2 to revenge for the Shanghai Masters, you mean? I wouldn't be surprised. As I say, that frame could be start of something special there. And if he's managed to win 2 frames on the bounce, from here onwards he can try and win 3 more on the bounce and to get himself a dominant win there over the world number 1. But I don't actually think it's possible for the reason of, Chomp is going to be better than that. And you're going to need an awful lot of mistakes from the world number 1 for that to be the case. And you need Robertson to be absolutely spot on with the game, which probably so far hasn't been the case either. So the match that many thought, including me, that this was worth a final. The world number 1 against the world number 3. And it's just a bit of a, sad coincidence to me that they had to be in the same side of the draw and face off each other in the semi-final. Now, as we have Robertson to come back through the arena, he has been destroyed before by Robertson. He has, but, when you have played 44 matches in between each other, you're always going to have a bit of a whitewash and a bit of a destroying matches because, sometimes when one of the players is playing well, the other isn't. You're going to have one of them being in trouble. And once again, you can just see whether it was a bit of a result of the previous frame loss. But once again, it's a break-off shot. And it's an absolute horror shot from Judd. He's going to leave the red over the left middle. Over the left corner pocket for Neil Robertson to try and take. And let's see if he's going to be able to get himself on the collar. I would expect him to get the red in. And, he's played it into the opposite side of the table. And that has made the pot a lot more difficult. And, of course, that wasn't the way for Robertson to try and start this 6th frame. When you get a chance, make sure you utilise it. And he wasn't able to do it. Now, leaving a red over the pocket. Other way around, too. I think they're both incredible players. Yeah, DQ, absolutely. Because, listen, as I say, 44 matches in between those two. 26 won by Chomp. 18 won by Robertson. Of course, there would have been a 6-0, 6-1, or a 10-1 win in, I think, in favour of each of those two. But now it's Chomp with a chance here. Takes the black in nicely. So trying to put all those joggers behind him and getting into 3 frames each. Who's getting advantage this frame? Well, it's Chomp now, obviously, with him having such a nice position to take those reds into the pockets now. He's got, 2 reds that he's managed to pot. He's going to try and get it onto the black here. So 2 reds, 2 blacks combination. He's going to have 3 more reds after this one. As he tries to get for the top one of the 3. And you can see highest break. 82 points for Chomp. 114 for Robertson. And when it comes to the average break, when he's been more than 2 pots, it has been 35 for Chomp and 40 for Robertson. But that will be subject to change if Chomp manages to have another comfortable break here. The last way to try and put that frame behind you is to dominate the next one. And in that case, of course, it will be massive advantage Chomp. Because if you think about it, if you're Neil Robertson, you work for that frame so hard, nearly an hour it takes you to win it. You find yourself ahead in this match for the first time. And then you're going to have Chomp absolutely demolishing you in the next frame. And especially if he wins this one by a century break and a break to nil, it will be an absolute horror show from Robertson's point of view. I would like to see Selby in the final. Well, if you're going to ask for my opinion, I would rather see Murphy. But, we have seen some brilliant fight. Well, a brilliant final, really, with Mark Selby against Judd Chomp in the Champion of Champions. One of the best individual performances, as I say, from in the final, because he was against the world number 1. And it was very few errors being made by Mark Selby. This frame is done. It's not done yet because Chomp has managed to put the last available red to him. So it's all about him trying to get into the bunch here. Tournament pack split success 60% there for him. So it seems to be on 3 out of 5 occasions. He's going to land himself on the red. So very important shot now for the frame to be done. And it should be done from here because it's a wonderful little shot by Chomp. And, gets himself perfectly lined up for this red to be taken. Now look at the scoreboard, 32-0. Well, I think what he meant is he's going to be able to get himself lined up for a perfect ending for this frame. And, certainly does seem to be the case now. Because he's 40 points clear. He's still going to have 4 more reds available after this black to be taken. And he's on a 1-4-6 for now for a potential break. And score doesn't mean anything. Let's not be calling ourselves anything. And I get what both of you are getting at. And ultimately, it was a nice little advantage, but the frame wasn't done at that stage. and Trump was able to get himself lined up for a couple of more of those reds. And technically, of course, the frame is not going to be done until Robertson can't catch him with sort of 3 or 4 snookers needed there for him to get back in the frame. But at this stage, it'll be a massive mistake and misjudgment there from Trump if he is to go on to lose this frame. Now, 55 points is the advantage there for him. That's what I meant, yes. Nice stuff. And another red disappears. And you can see Trump won the UK Championship in 2024, 13 years after winning his first title in 2011. And of course, that was, well, his only win up to last year. And as he manages to make it 2 on the bounce and 3 in general for the UK Championship, for him to be re-established as one of the top players when it comes to the Triple Crown events. Of course, last season we had Judd winning the UK Championship, Shaun Murphy taking the Masters, and Joussington taking the Maiden World Championship crown. So, Trump is about to go 71 points clear if he gets the black in, and that way, the next red is going to be frame ball. And, well, as I say, that miss from Robertson could be very, very costly. And in the end, he could put all of his work that he's managed to do in the previous frame to absolutely nothing. In fact, I'll be surprised if that's not the case. With the previous frame taken, what is it, 15 minutes now. I think there's barely 10 minutes in this frame. And Judd gets himself lined up for a frame ball to be taken into the right corner. Once again, to re-establish the order of it being 3 frames each. Now, tournament response success 90% for him. And, well, wants to get on the black here as well. I think he's going to be just about fine here as he gets the red into the corner. And 3-3 already. Robertson makes many mistakes. He does. But in this match, I'm not going to say in the tournament because he's been really, really good in the tournament. And so far, in this performance, he has made well, slightly more mistakes than he would have liked to see for him. And in the end, it is going to be the break of 72 points away from Trump. And is Robertson going to try and come back for himself? I think he has to, because he's going to be 2 snookers at this stage. And he could try and fight back for a free ball. You know, getting that on the red. So, yeah, I think he's got 4 reds in a nice position there. So it's all about if he wants to try and take the last red as the option of lining a snooker up on Trump, as he now hammers the first one into the right corner. So just trying to stay in the frame for slightly longer, and you can understand that, of course, with him taking so much time to try and grind out the win in the previous frame, for him to lose it in less than 10 minutes, and he will lose it now, because he's missed the black into the right corner, and yeah, it is going to be a very sad ending there for Neil Robertson, because it is going to be 3 frames each. And the last head to it is so bad. Well, it was all right. I think, you know, Trump was playing really, really well at that stage. He managed to get a comfortable win in the Shanghai Masters. But as I say, he didn't manage to get himself into a final that time. And he'll be looking to change that in this occasion here at the Barbican, for him to be playing either Mark Selby or Shaun Murphy if he is able to get himself lined up for 3 more frame wins. Nothing to separate the players once again out there, and it is 3 frames each. Judd 3, Neil Robertson 3 as we approach frame number 7 after the 6th one disappears in no time at all. Yes, bro, sometimes he does really makes a lot. Well, listen, I'm not going to say that Robertson has been playing perfectly, but he still managed to get 3 frames away from Trump, and I think it's still been very, very steady and very similar sort of performances there from the 2 players, because apart from a bit of contrast in the way they've managed to win those, frame numbers 5 and 6, where Robertson had to grind it out until the last cross double on the black. Robertson wasn't able to do anything about the 6th frame, where Trump was able to produce a break of 72 points, which in the end got him over the line and didn't allow Robertson to, well, have any sort of a chance there, for him to have that 4-2 of a cushion to try and hold on to. But I thought it was going to be very important frame for Trump, and he's managed to take it in a perfect manner, as the true champion will take it. And it is now nothing to separate them. And, well, a bit of a Championship League format. It is first of 3 for a place in the final to try and battle for the trophy. And 200,000, 50,000 of ranking points and prize money worth, of course. And he did so bad in long pot, don't know why, but it seems hard again for him. Well, it has, but as I say, I think that's a bit unfair. Trump was really, really good with long pots yesterday against Ding Shui, but I don't think he's been brilliant today. And listen, if you're going to criticize Robertson, I think you have to spare some of this criticism for Trump. Let's see now, he's got the long red lined up himself, and he's going to miss it though. So talking about missing the long shots, and is he going to leave it over the middle? I think he will. And he will leave it. Very, very similar, by the way, to the one that he's missed in one of the previous frames. In the way that that red has gone over the right middle, in the same way that he has done previously in the match. And Trump maybe just trying to do too much, well, damage to his opponent at too little margin of time. Once again, it will be Robertson trying to get this red into the pocket and get himself on the right side of the blue. Once again, after not having a chance at all in the previous frame, he's going to have a chance of taking this frame away once again there from Judd. Well, seems like Neil has a chance here. He does. He does. He has got 3 reds available after this blue, but he thought he didn't have enough of those, and for him having a chance, unless he's got this red available into the right middle, he's going to have no chance in no time at all. You know, I thought he could have tried to play for open reds. In the end, he didn't want to do it, and trying to initiate the contact on the main bunch, and with him taking so much time, I think probably can't get through to that red onto the right middle. Can he? He can. Now, is he going to have position on the black here? Needs the cue ball to bounce away. And has he got enough of the black to try and go for? Well, I don't know. I think he does. But also, as I say, I think it's very, very close for him. And with the way that he's looking at the top cushion, he probably can't get through to this black. And, well, I thought he rushed it a bit there on his short selection with a shot into the middle. And, well, he can try and take the blue now for a long shot. But he has missed one of those previously in the frames. And it's cost him the frame at that time. So just get the cue ball to be lined up for the ball cushion. Try and make sure he's going to have to place it with a way that he's not left a red on. But don't think he's played a good shot there. And at the break of 7 points, I think it is going to be the end of Neil Robertson now. At least for the foreseeable future. Because Judd has got a long shot himself to try and take into the right corner. Play this one with a little backspin. And he'll be able to have a chance of his own. But once again there, 2 long shots missed in a quick sequence there by Trump. And the same red is going to go over the left corner pocket. So, I mean, even though Robertson has played a bad safety shot, him leaving that red on there for Trump, in the end probably worked out perfectly there for him. And, well, if you talk about Robertson not being clinical with his long pots, 45% there, 5 out of 11 long pot success for Trump. And in the entire tournament, 23 out of 38, so 61%, even though, of course, that would have been compromised by the semi-final as well. Now, Robertson getting himself a second chance here to try and re-establish himself back ahead in this match. And once again, just like he was previously, doesn't want to waste any time at all. Gets the cue ball into the main bunch of reds. And has he managed to get onto anything now? I think he's got this red available into the left corner, but once again, has to play it with a lot of accuracy in terms of the power and the way that he takes the red into the left corner for him to have these black sets up into the right corner of the table. And you can try and get this one lined up for the next shot. Just having a look to see if he's going to be able to take it now with a bit of traction, a bit of pace on the shot. So, yeah, has to bridge over a couple of reds, of course, and having to reach for that cue ball. If he takes the rest shot now, by the way, I don't think he's going to be able to get on the black, which probably is why he's hesitated for it. And, well, he's going to go for a rest shot. I can't really, for a spider as well, for him to try and breach over those reds. Don't really understand how he's going to be able to get himself on the black. I think he'll get the red in. Maybe just going to try and play for that gap on the pink. And yeah, he got the red in, but he's going to be in absolutely nothing in terms of the colours available. Robertson isn't consistent because he's got a lot of other hobbies like playing golf and painting toys. So he's been playing a full-time snooker. Well, I'll disagree because, as I say, apart from Chomp, he's probably played the best snooker of this week. And sometimes it just helps you out to offload your brain at moments when you have other stuff going on, especially with other sports. And listen, he's still the world number 3. He's still one of the most successful players currently playing snooker. And I haven't actually got anything negative to say about Robertson. Always liked him as a player and always liked him as a person, which he comes across at with his interviews and off the table anyway. Still, he's one of the best. Well, as I say, the fact that he's not consistent, I mean, if you're going to say Robertson is not consistent, he probably wasn't throughout the majority of the season. And is he now going to run himself out of position for this black? I mean, once again, he can try and take it now after cannoning the cue ball into this black, into the left middle, and just trying to re-establish the order once again there for him. But probably he's going to go against his short selection, so not being confident with him taking this black into the left middle, and so therefore still has to try and play the cue ball off the black, try and send it to the top part of the table, and get himself lined up for one more safety battle to try and be a part of. Semi-final, 84% there, 89 out of 82, and tournament, 91% there for positional success for Neil Robertson. So had a bit of a drop down in that percentage way, and been getting himself run out of position for some reasonable amount of times. And, well, back to chomp it goes. 20 points is the advantage there for Robertson, and he can try and get a couple of those reds into the left corner. Don't think he's going to struggle with this one at all in terms of getting the cue ball to the top part of the table, but what he is going to struggle at inevitably is trying to make sure he's not going to leave any of those reds available there for Robertson, because of course Neil was trying to do that with the 3 shot that he had of trying to play the cannon off the black. And he's managed to, I think, just about cover up the passing angle for the red closer to the pocket. And now with Chomp, well, doing laps around the table, he seems to be nervous about this shot that he has to play, because of the way that he can try and get the cue ball into the sort of the place of the green pocket, but that way it still has to be somewhat perfect in terms of placing the cue ball quite close to the ball cushion. Otherwise, he's going to have a couple of those reds given away to Neil Robertson here. And, well, thinking about going for a plant himself, as if to say, if I can't get the cue ball safe, I may as well try to go for a pot myself. And, well, more than 90 seconds already taken on a shot here for Chomp, and as he prepares to go down for it. So, reds taken into each other and sent into the right corner of the table, and, well, didn't manage to get the plant in. Now, has he managed to get the cue ball safe? One of those reds has gone in the way of the whites, and he's actually might have saved there for Chomp and done him a decent favour. Let's see if that is the case, though, because I still think Robertson can get through to this red, and he can. It's all about getting that position on the black, which has gone very close to the left middle, but ultimately slightly closer to the top part of the table than the bottom one. And so far, pocket launch success 1 out of 3. And of course, remember the first one, which he missed, was the one that he was trying to roll the cue ball onto this red, and well, in the end, missed it by some margin. And wow, he's going to miss another one, so it's going to be 1 out of 4. And well, that 20 points advantage that he had probably isn't going to mean anything after he misses this red. And yeah, it clearly feels like that was very close to drop again. And still going to have this cue ball given away here to Judd Chomp. And well, it's a brilliant position there given away to Chomp, because you can try and take this red into the middle, and then he's still going to have a couple of those reds to make his way through, as long as he doesn't have the cue ball to go so close to the yellow that he's actually run himself out of position straight away. I mean, that is a waste. That is a massive waste there from Chomp if he's unable to get through to this black, with it being basically over the left middle. And it's a brilliant safety shot, of course, if he was playing for that red to try and get it to the lower part of the table. But, of course, with him trying to have a chance, that was a massive waste of a chance there for Chomp. And in the end, only 1 point scored. And Snooker lined up on Neil Robertson. So, with, what is it now? 9 reds still being in play. You've got 99 points available at the table. Robertson can try and get the cue ball down the table for one of the long reds, which is positioning himself on the black ball cushion. Couple of reds closer to the left side cushion there, but still in open play. That way he has to be careful about it. One red closer to the right corner pocket and quite close to the side cushion as well. And 5 more of those being, well, surrounding the pink at this stage. All being slightly down than the pink spot itself. And, well, you would think that it is going to be a clear target for him to try and get that red onto the lower part of the table, the lowest of them all. But with Robertson taking so much time in between his next shot, and shot time, as you can see, ticking over a minute, and clearly feels like it is a bit of a trouble and problem that he finds himself at. So he's looking to go for a ball cushion first, which probably going to limit the axis of the right-hand side of those reds. So probably still going for that red that I mentioned on the black ball cushion. Just trying to judge the cannon and the way that the cue ball is going to bounce away from those cushions perfectly. So once again, taking a bit of time there. Especially in the contrast to the previous frame, which probably would have been won at this stage of the frame anyway. With that one barely lasting 15 minutes. Shot time going close to 2 minutes right now for Neil Robertson. As he tries to, well, he changes his mind once again there, so he was trying to get the cue ball towards the green pocket. In the end, goes for 3 cushion escape on the ball cushion, and, well, yeah, he's played this one badly, to be fair. And let's see if Chomp is going to try and re-establish the order. I think he will, with Robertson already preparing for it. And 4 points has to go towards Judd Chomp. And the referee will try and re-establish the position of the cue ball perfectly to the extent that he was. And try and get the cue ball lined up in the similar way that he was previously. And Robertson feels like if it is going to be out of position, he's going to be by 2 less of a distance for him to matter. And he's going to go down straight away and try and have attempt number 2. A bit more successful than the first one. And it's going to be closer. But this way, of course, he's going to leave a potential shot away to the right middle. But not this time. So once again, just enough power there in the end for the cue ball to go away from those reds. And therefore not leave a chance to Robertson here. So 11 points now is the advantage for Neil. And yeah, you can try and get this one into the reds. And I mean, I don't think he'll care about points, even though it is going to be his 3rd attempt. It's all about just trying to make sure he's not going to leave a chance away to Chomp. The line seems to be better. But when the line is better, you always risk of leaving this red away to Chomp. And I think he has managed to do it. So he's done really well to get the contact on those reds. But ultimately, I still think he's left the closest one to the cue ball away into the right corner. And there's the confirmation. Chomp can try and get the cue ball away from the main action of reds. Get it lined up for the black or any of the ball colours. Who do you think will win? Absolutely no idea. I've gone for Robertson at the start of the match simply for, I reckon, too many people underestimate him for the way that he's played. And I was going to switch my mind up a couple of times, but I'll stay on Robertson for now. And Chomp managed to take a nice little red into the right corner. But Wild Talks, as I say, it's absolutely 50-50 for me. Anyone's match for the taking. And I was really impressed with Chomp taking the previous frame after such a lengthy frame number 5. For him to take that frame in no time at all and re-establish the order to being 3 frames each. Now, getting himself a nice little chance to have some valuable points to try and cut that gap down to Robertson. Hopefully, Chomp will go through to final. Well, there you go. We can see what Rafi thinks about it. And once again, another red disappears into the right middle. So 2 points in between the 2 great champions here. And, well, Chomp has managed to take the easy reds away. I think he's got 1 more of those close by the right side cushion. And Robertson was very keen to try and go into the bunch of reds a couple of occasions so far at the early part of this frame. And Chomp has done that at the same time. And, well, I mean, the outcome of Chomp getting himself lined up perfectly on the red into the middle is going to be very different to the outcome that Robertson has had previously. And, well, now this red goes into the left middle. You can try and have this blue to be taken into the opposite side of the table. And 6 points now is the advantage for Chomp. And as he gets himself lined up for this blue to be taken into the right middle. And I think it's 65% chop. Well, if he wins the frame, then yes, because that way he's going to be the player that gets 2 frames with the bounce. As I say, I think he was very important. I was very surprised with the way and ease that he's managed to get himself that 6-frame win. And many thanks to Judd Water. I was feeling thirsty for you. Nah, absolutely not. As I say, if you're thirsty, feel free to hydrate yourself at the right time. Now, taking the one more blue into the right middle, and well, 37 points there. That he's going to play 20 for Neil Robertson, so he's got 17 points of an advantage as he gets that red into the right corner. And well, I'm just trying to see if he's going to need. He's not going to need the last red, that's for sure, but he's going to need the penultimate red out there because he won't be able to go sort of 43 points away from Robertson with the last remaining 2 reds that he's got after this black, and under on slightly for this red to be taken into the middle. Trump doesn't want any sort of access issues now onto those reds, and may actually be forced to take in this red along the side cushion because, as I say, he's going to need to take it out of the game anyway because maximum of points that you can score with 2 reds combination is going to be 2 reds, 2 blacks, which is 16 points, and that's not going to be enough there for him to be over the line. But as he rolls the red in, well, that number might just actually raise to 65% for me, because if he's going to have a frame advantage over Robertson, it will be a great start to potential endgame phase there for Trump. And remember, he's managed to raise his game level into the deciding points of those matches against Xi Jiawei, Ding Jiawei, and Stephen Maguire as well, especially against Maguire, because that match was closest of them all. He had a very important clearance against Maguire to force a respawn in the first round and ultimately get himself into the semi-final meeting here with Robertson. Now, 34 points is the advantage, and yeah, as I say, still needs one more red after this black. I think he'll try and play the one along the black ball cushion, which I actually thought was going to be the more difficult red. But now as he gets himself 41 points clear, 43 on the table as it stands. But of course, if he eliminates one of those reds, which he should do right now, he'll be able to get himself 42 points clear with still having a chance of playing for the black. Yeah, just try to roll the red in. And Robertson himself having a look to see if it's going to make sense for him to come back to the table. I think probably just force the cue ball away from the main bunch. I don't think there's going to be any sort of point of trying to go for the black. Just trying to put the cue ball in the way that Robertson can't see that red, and therefore make his chances of coming back to the table very, very slim at all. And I think he will try and do it, but as I say, if he misses the red or leaves it over for Chomp, I think he will be curtains for Robertson in this frame. And well, maybe in the match as well, he's going to leave this red over the left middle. And well, that was always going to be the risk. And Robertson conceding the frame. It is going to be Chomp to take 2 frames from the bounce. So after Robertson managed to do it and go from 2-1 down to 2-3 of advantage, it is now back to Chomp to have his say about it. And the world number 1 is going to lead by 4 frames to 3 going into frame number 8. Once again, we've got 250 people watching, so thank you very much for everyone tuning in. Feel free to hit the like on the stream and subscribe to the channel, and we'll have the final 2 sessions for you tomorrow. And well, at this stage, it does look like it is actually going to be Judd Chomp to be facing off against Sean Murphy or Mark Selby. Which one of them is it actually going to be? It remains to be seen, but I mean, Chomp has actually played decent stuff once again. I wouldn't say that he's been perfect, but he's played some real good stuff, and once again, probably actually been slightly more consistent than Robertson. I will give you this one, and well, that seems to end perfectly for him. Should I cash from Neil? Wild talks. It depends. It depends what kind of odds that you're talking about. If you've done it at the start of the match, then probably no. And if you have done it at the time when he was leading, then maybe in trouble. As I say, the reason why I don't really have a lot of grade in that, and I don't really have a lot of experience, but anything can happen in snooker. So personally, I probably wouldn't, because I still think he's got a chance. But if he loses one more frame, it's over. So it's up to you on this one. He can't afford to lose frame number 8, is what I'll tell you. Because if he does, I don't think he's got him in him to try and win 3 frames on the bounce. Once again, it is break-off shot set up for Judd. And Neil is ready to get himself back in the action, but he has to do it now or never. Otherwise, it is going to be 2 defeats from Judd in this season. Shanghai Masters was a bit of a different one. It would have been last 16 match. And the first one that I've actually seen Trump featuring. And, well, nice little shot there by Trump to get himself started in this frame. And just having a look to see if he's going to be able to have those reds to be sent into each other with the way that he's not going to leave any of them over the pocket. And I think Neil managed to play that shot really nicely with 7 frames down. You know, with it being sort of almost 3 hours since the match has started. It's actually been a very quick semi-final so far. All on you, what do you say? I will do my brother. It was 10 for 30. I am getting 5 now. 10 for 30, so it was 3. It's an interesting question. Let me wait for a couple of pots and then I'll tell you. Just sometimes he will take a couple of shots for, not pots, but shots into this frame. And, well, I wouldn't say now because Trump just made the mess of this shot. And has he managed to get away with it? Ooh, I mean, that is super unlucky on Neil. Because I am subbing you. Thank you. Now, I mean, that is super unlucky because it could have actually been a shot for Robertson to try and take. And, well, he still can get himself out of problems here because if he gets on the side cushion, but I'm more leaning onto actually just getting that 5er on and making sure that you get it. Yeah, he's just put the red closer to the corner pocket. Now, Trump can try and take it, but once again, he's going to have a trouble of getting the cue ball into that free zone. So, yeah, as I say, probably the next chance that you have got that approach, probably go for it because I think this red is going to be taken there by Trump. And, well, he got really lucky on the previous shot because he made the mistake of carrying the cue ball into this blue and allowed himself to go for this red to be taken there by Trump. And, well, I mean, the position is still far from ideal. It's not going to be as easy as the one that Trump had previously in the frame, on frame number 7. But with the way that his game has been on the up recently, he should be able to get himself significant points advantage now to try and get away from Neil Robertson. Now just having a look to see if he can get through to this red to be taken into the left corner, which I don't think he can. Therefore, he can try and get the cue ball to go through this red and onto the left middle. Once again, play for the pink. And I mean, he was able to get through to this red. And once again, it should be one of those chances that, even though it is going to be difficult for him to win the frame, gamble aside, he's a good player. Yeah, he is. Both of them. But I think it was just one of those matches that, as I say, I think the 5th frame was really, really important for Robertson to win. Because if he lost that one, it would have been a 6-2 win for Trump. I have no doubt about it. Looking back on those frames. And the fact that Trump has managed to put that behind him just like that, you know, sort of snap with his fingers. And managed to win 2 frames on the bounce now, both in quite convincing fashion. Gets himself in with a great chance now of making it 3 on the bounce. And getting a couple of those reds away from the main bunch. So trying to make sure he's going to have the chances of taking the pink into the left and right corner. I think he's got a shot into the left middle, which he'll try and keep himself for now for the next couple of shots. I'm new to you. Do you do any other sports? So, it's an interesting question. I do have plans for it in this next season. Because we are going to have the decider for Formula 1. And which, it's a great shame that you're going to have the first session of the UK Championship final at the same time as this one. But I do actually plan to get into it quite heavily when the new regulations of 2026 come in. But until that point, we're still yet to find out the champion of 2025. And I think I'm going to try and do some slams of tennis. You've got Australian Open in January. Then you're going to have the main 2 of Wimbledon and Roland Garros on both ATP and WTA tour. And then you're going to have US Open to sort of line up. Maybe some of the majors as well. But that will be a thing to consider. For now, we're going to have to focus on snooker. And as I say, Australian Open and the start of the Formula 1 season in 2026 probably is going to be the departing points for any other stuff other than snooker for now. Doing a foul to it, there are not many to do that. Well, the thing about this one is I always do sport that I know quite a bit of, and I've got absolutely no idea about an NFL. So, yeah, as I say, probably not for now, but we'll have to wait and see on this one. Now, though, getting back into the 8th frame, he's got a red available now, Chomp, once again, to take and try and play back for the blue. I don't think he's played a bad shot, though. He's played a good shot, though, I should say, because he ran himself very straight on this blue to be taken into the right middle. And 25 points as the advantage. I mean, he can try and just stun the cue ball to have himself lined up for a mid-range shot on the red. Taken into the left corner. And he's managed to get that pocket pretty much cleared away of any of those reds to be in the way of the pink. And I have to have a look to see if Chomp is going to be able to keep that break going for a while. Should I tell you something? Well, it depends what it is. Got me intrigued, that's for sure, but sometimes, you know, you say yes and then you wish you said no to those sort of questions. Now, it's a wonderful little shot there by Chomp because only just about gets the red in, but he managed to drop it in and still gets himself the right side of the blue to be taken into the right middle. Now he can try and get one more red to be taken into the opposite side of the middle pocket. Drop that one in and play for blue or pink. And Robertson, once again, I mean, he's been on the receiving end of the last 3 frames here. And Chomp will decide to try and get that red away from the pink spot. And plays the shot really nicely off cannoning the pink into the left middle. Points without reply. He's going to be 105 if he's going to be able to get this pink into more than 100 points without reply there from Judd Chomp in the semi-final of a Triple Crown event. Has to be hats off there to Judd Chomp. And, well, a bit of an undermining performance from Neil Robertson in some of the late frames. But ultimately still give Chomp his flowers. It's been really, really good on the last couple of frames. And as I say, once again, just having that ability to step up his game in the late phase of the match, as he has done, especially yesterday against Ding Junhui, winning 6 frames on the bounce. And is now looking to have that hunt for 4 frames on the bounce to win this match by a scoreline of 6 frames to 3. Of course, it still is going to be quite far away from it. It will be very good if you like made face cam. Yes, I'll think about it, but once again, it'll probably be to the sort of later part of the season. But I think you need a better camera than that. And as I say, I will think about those type of things, but probably still will be work in progress for a while. Now, a break of 50 points for Chomp to get himself started nicely. Lines up for a couple of more pots to actually get this frame wrapped up as well. 55 points as the difference in between himself and Neil Robertson. 75 on the table, so he'll take 2 more reds to be taken away from the table, and he will be. A brilliant performance once again there from Chomp. Can't really blame Robertson for this one because, you know, he's played a semi-decent safety. And still got him into massive troubles with Chomp getting that red into the corner pocket, managing to find the corridor for the cue ball to be set up perfectly for the blue. And what followed up was a wonderful little clearance of 62 points and counting. So played this shot on the red and set himself up for a frame ball. Once again, ideally wants to have a colour set up for him as well. But as long as he gets himself over the line with those rainy 4 reds being, well, pretty much all of them in quite a problematic positions. Once again, Chomp managing to find a brilliant corridor for the cue ball. And Robertson will probably stay in his chair for one more frame and set himself up. That 3-2 of a gap turned into 5-3 deficit. Do you know about darts? Barely. As I say, the 4 sports that I know quite a lot of is going to be Formula 1, snooker, football and tennis. So those 4 are the main ones for me. I have tried to watch darts and I didn't really get the feel for it. Now, Chomp probably just going to try and play a safe shot of one of those reds. Get the cue ball to the top out of the table to ensure that Robertson hasn't got an easy chance to get himself into the frame. And probably won't come back to the table either. I mean, he can try and go for this red into the corner pocket, but that way he'll leave it over the pocket and, well, probably give an invitation to Robertson to come back onto the frame. And Yeah, as you can see, applause from the crowd there for this break of Judd Trump. But we've seen that previously, of course, where Trump made a break of 72 points. Neil come back to the table, managed to get the red in, but wasn't able to get position on the black. Do you see Arsenal throw easy win, 2 wins, 1 today? Well, listen. No, I think I was watching this at that time, and I don't watch Arsenal. I just think that's way too boring for me. I know they're probably going to win the league, but A, I'm far from being an Arsenal fan, with Robertson getting the wonderful little red into the left corner, and B, I just don't find it interesting at all. With the way they grind out 1-0, 2-0 wins off set pieces, I just think it's... Yeah. But listen, if they throw a win away, I mean, for me as a Liverpool fan, it's a positive thing, but as far as I'm aware, they've got so much of a gap, they don't really have to worry about it. And I think it's really sad there for Arsenal's point of view, where you actually have rival fans enjoying to watch Man City play, enjoying them play a bit more than when you actually have to play and watch Arsenal play. Now, if you get back onto the snooker table, you've got Robertson in with a good chance of still having at least 1 shot lined up in behind the black there, with him getting 1 red out of the way. He's going to get 24 points if he gets 1 more red with the black. I'm enjoying this match. Peter, it's a wonderful match so far. I just think it's going to lack a bit of what is it being? It's being too close to each other. If Trump is to make it 3 frames on the bounce. And, well, what is it going to be there? 44 points of a deficit for Robertson. So he needs 3... Yeah, he ain't getting 3 snookers on Trump. I'm sorry, spoiler alert, but he ain't going to be able to get 3 snookers on Judd Trump here. You cannot do it, Robertson. Oh, so I thought you said you cannot do it. Yeah, you can. Well, not for me, but as I say, you can't do it if you don't try. And he's just looking to see whether he wants to take this back with a little bit of a backspin on the cue ball. Just tries to make sure that at least he's going to have 1 shot of getting the cue ball in behind the black. Very much tied up as he now finds himself 44 points behind. 35 on the table. So we are going to be entering the next frame. He's going to be starting the endgame zone. And it's a nice little shot though by Robertson, because he managed to get the red to be taken perfectly onto the blue spot. And now 22 points. He's, well, what's the break that Robertson managed to produce? So at least it was those 150 points with a bit of reply there from Robertson's point of view. And now, well, ideally he wants a frame ball to be getting off Judd Trump, but can't really see that being the case. I think Trump will just try and roll the cue ball onto this red, but he has got the blue though. So this could be important, because if he gets 5 points onto Robertson, because now finds himself 39 points behind, he can get himself 1 snooker. And, well, for him to force a respot at this stage, from Robertson's sake, I would probably go for this red, try and take it into the right middle, get himself lined up for the black, and then try and get the cue ball as close as you possibly can to that yellow and pink combination, and get the yellow away. No, I mean, I don't know what he was trying to. I think he was trying to pop this red, but he managed to miss it into the right middle. And, well, all the plans that I've had for Robertson to actually get himself back in this frame, he's probably thrown the frame away, where, well, he looked like he was actually going to get himself a chance of getting back in this one. Trump is not going to miss this one, and therefore it is going to be 3 frames on the bounce for Judd Trump. And once again, Robertson has to spend majority of the frame time sat in his chair. And, well, 3-2 of a gap, as I say, is going to be turned into 5-3 of a deficit. Robertson will have to win 3 frames on the bounce for him to be the first finalist. But with Trump being the more consistent of the 2 players, it probably is turned into mission impossible. I know I'm cooked, but I need to, well, yeah, you can always support your player, but I think there always has to be a bit of a realism into it. And 45 points is not going to get overturned there by Robertson. With 27 on the table, it is Judd Trump very much on top of this ride. And Neil Robertson finds himself being 2 frames down and only 1 frame away from being knocked out by the world number 1. And you have to give hats off to Trump once again. That 6th frame has certainly been the start of something special there for him. And, well, manages to get himself into a great sequence of shots there, especially at the start of both frame 7, 8, and 6 at that time. And now Robertson, well, as I say, for him to win 3 frames on the bounce, I can't really see it being possible. Therefore, he has to try and... well, I don't really understand the way that he can do it. Because if he's going to try and get himself lined up for a safety battle, I don't think he's going to be trumping this safety aspect anyway, because that's the way the Trump's been getting chances of Robertson. Not really of just missing easy shots, but that was the case as well. But just leaving those easy reds over the pocket. Remember, the way that he's managed to get himself set up for that break of 68 points, to get himself lined up perfectly into the start of that frame, was Robertson leaving that red over the left corner, playing a bad safety shot. If you look at the frame number 6, Robertson had a chance. He had 2 chances to run away from Chomp. He wasn't able to take any of them. Playing from the blue onto the main bunch of reds twice, unable to get any sort of traction, getting 20 points off 3 golden opportunities. Chomp clears up the table, and well, even if you look at the way that the break building has gone, only won the break of 50 plus for Robertson, and that was the century break. That is absolutely unacceptable and way beyond the target mark of what he should be for him to be over the line. And in contrast to it, you've got 5 50 plus breaks from Judd. Yes, there's not a century break, but you don't need a century break to get over the line in a frame. And ultimately, Robertson producing that break of 50 plus only once in this match is going to be probably the way for him to lose it. But of course, he still has a chance of winning 3 frames on the bounce and booking himself into the perfect situation there of still being the favourite for the final. But at this stage, it will be unlikely. All ends, well, it's probably as close to all end as he can be, because I can't really see Robertson winning 3 frames on the bounce. But what I can say is, if I can't see him winning the first one, I can see him winning 2 more. So probably what I'm getting at is I can't see him winning this frame. So listen, the best chance that Chomp is going to have to win this match, for me, it is going to be 6-3. So he needs to win 1 more frame and make it 6-4. 4 frame on the bounce, I mean. 4 frames on the bounce. If Robertson takes it into a 5-4, you can still understand sometimes, you know, it takes players time to get over the line, and sometimes he loses a frame or 2. But at least that'll be something for Robertson to try and build the momentum on and try and hold on to. For now, it is every shot, well, there to be taken there, as if it was his last in this tournament, and it could still prove to be his last. Now the break-off is going to be important. Hasn't played it well at all. And he's left the shot, I'm pretty sure he's left the red over not over the left corner, but the one that he can try and take there if you are Judd Chomp. And that's certainly what he'll try and do. He's had that one missed though, previously. And he's going to miss it again. If he's going to stay over the left corner, he will. But where's the cue ball going to finish? He's going to finish in behind the brown. So, I mean, you could not have had this one set up any better for Judd Chomp. And, well, he apologises for this one because he certainly didn't mean to play a snooker off this shot. And, well, he wasn't even up from this shot the way he played it. And, well, yeah, the little shake of the head there from Chomp because he knows he got away with this one. And the match is not over yet, with Robertson still having a chance to produce some sort of a comeback. But listen, when your opponent is playing well and the luck is on his side, there's nothing you can do. 99% of snooker matches are going to end in the favour of player that is playing well and is also getting luck on his side. When you have both of these aspects in favour of one of the players, especially when it's the defending champion and the higher rated seed, the other player is going to have to find a very, very impressive comeback for him to turn the match on his head. And, well, at this stage, I wouldn't really be surprised if Robertson just goes for a cushion escape into that red off the corner and says, if I'm going to lead it, then so be it. Because he can't see any of those reds as far as I'm aware. And even if he could see it, there's not going to be a safe spot on the table there for him. So, I mean, he can try and get the cue ball onto the lower part of those reds, but yeah, he's played it absolutely horrendously. And once again, it's a brilliant chance there for Chomp to get this frame and match 1 right here, right now. Robertson, well, hasn't really done an awful lot wrong here, because even if he hasn't actually caught this red the way he did, he still would have left the red over the left corner. And now it comes down to the first opening couple of shots there for Chomp, because The first one has to be taken with the rest. Probably with a long one as well. Try and get the cue ball into a bit of traction there for himself. And, I mean, he can try and set the eyes on the pink to be taken into the left middle. Or, plan B being, if he can try and get himself set up for the black. And whilst he's making these decisions, I have to say thank you very much once again to everyone that's been with us today, watching the stream. And if you liked it, feel free to hit the like button and subscribe to the channel for the final tomorrow. Whether it is going to be Judd or Neil Robertson, it certainly is going to be an absolute cracker for the first Triple Crown to unfold here. And once again, another beauty of a shot there from Chomp, and playing this one really in a clever way. You can see a couple of fans being worried in the background, but he could not have played this one any better, because he was trying to use the entire width of the pocket to get the cue ball closer to the large side cushion, which allowed him to cannon the cue ball into the black with the weight. There's still lift the black available here for Chomp. Now, if he just manages to take the black into the pocket, which he will, and of course he can't see that red over the pocket, but he's going to be able to force a little plant into it and still get himself set up for, I mean, I say set up for the black. If he's going to have another red to cover up that pocket, well, probably has to give himself a little bit of an insurance and try and play it in the way that he's going to try and get the cue ball set up for the blue. And he's managed to get both of those reds to drop in at the same time, which at these points is probably going to be a bit more of a disadvantage for him. You know, if you're going to leave that red over the corner pocket, because he wasn't playing for the black anyway, because he knew that wasn't a chance there for him to leave one of those reds over the pocket. And in the end, at that stage, it probably would have been a bit of an advantage for him to just not worry about the positional play and having that ability to send the cue ball into the reds off the blue right here, right now. Probably winning that frame in the single visit to the table at that stage. Now, going for the brown to be taken into the yellow pocket will put him under a little bit of pressure, because he still has to drop the brown in and get the cue ball to go down the table. Plays the shot nicely, just wants it to bounce away from the cushion, which you will to an extent, but still going to have white a bit too close there to the side cushion for it to be a comfortable shot. So, just a bit of a bumpy road there for Judd to start off, hopefully for him, the frame winning campaign, and therefore the match winning campaign, for him to be in the final of the UK Championship for the second time here. And remember, Robertson never lost out in the final. Well, can the same be said about Judd now? Because is he going to be able to get himself into the final now? Not on this occasion. And he's going to be at least one more chance there given away to Robertson, because well, couldn't really see him missing this red into the right middle. Thought he was going to be a better option there. And you can see unforced errors, 3 from Trump and 2 from Robertson. I mean, that is actually being incredible when you think about it, because that clearly was counted as one of those unforced errors. And, well, don't really think that Robertson has only made 2 throughout the entire match here of 8.5 frames. So 11 points now separates the two players. Still, Robertson only has one more red available to him after he plays the yellow into its own pocket, gets the cue ball to be lined up for the lower part of the table, and tries to put a bit of distance in between the whites and those reds. Well, I mean, yeah, he got the yellow to be missed into the pocket, so hasn't actually landed on any of those reds, so apologises there in front of Chom. So puts his hand up in the air. Unforced errors now 3 each, so that's a bit more fair. But as I say, I can't really see Robertson making 3 errors, which can be classified as unforced throughout the 8.5 frames here. Pot success 89% for each. So technically, if you look at stats, you probably have to say that there's nothing to separate the two players, but the eye test probably has to tell you that there has been a massive switch of the play here in terms of the dominant force being Judd Trump throughout the last 3 frames or so. And frame number 5 still being a 50-50 one. You can't really say that it was a complete domination by either one of the players. So Robertson now getting the cue ball in behind the blue. So has to try and find his way out of this situation. Well, I mean, he's going to try and aim for the left-hand side of the red to try and send it to the right-hand side of the table. But that way, he has to be careful that he doesn't send it too close to the pocket for Chom to try and exploit that and get himself onto the second chance, which at this stage, you probably have to feel like he will take and convert into a match-winning break. I think it is end. I will take a bite. Man, have a nice day. Yes, Wild Talks, thank you very much, you too, and have a wonderful rest of your day. Thank you very much for joining in. Robertson manages to find himself out of that position, so I think it is going to take a bit of time for the players to develop the bunch of reds, because right now, as it stands, you're not really going to have any of those reds to be in open play, and therefore, the safety shots are going to be slightly easier, especially for Judd there, with Neil Robertson for now, just trying to get the cue ball towards those reds and pretty much rolling it onto the main pack of them. So for now, with 115 points on the table, we have taken 4 ads out of the game. So 11 of those are still going to be very much bunched up close to each other. And right underneath the pink spot. Now Robertson just having a look to see if he's going to be able to send a couple more of those reds towards the left corner. Try and get the cue ball to the side cushion and back onto the top part of the table. I mean, he's pretty much attempted to go for a red into the right corner. And he's managed to play it in the way that the red has stayed not quite over the pocket, but onto the side cushion, which probably will prevent Trump from playing it anyway, even though he's also going to be snookered on the yellow, being in the way of the cue ball and the target red that I was talking about. So just sending one more red onto the main pack, getting the cue ball to be lined up perfectly on the ball cushion. And once again, it's a nice response there from Judd. That, as I say, that's why I don't really see a way for Robertson to win this match, because attacking approach doesn't seem to work out. It lacks consistency and he lacks that clinical edge over Chomp. And the safety play, I mean, Chomp has probably been better player in terms of the safety play as well. I think he's going to have 4 foul points now, with the cue ball slowing down a bit too quick there. Has he managed to get the red in? I don't think he has, because of a worrying look on his face. He was close, but just about misjudging the pace. And 13 points of a gap is going to turn into 17 points of a gap. So once again, just has to make sure he doesn't do it 2 times in a row. Otherwise, you'll have to change. I mean, I say you'll have to change the approach. Probably won't have to, because of, I don't think you can see one of those reds full ball in contact. Come on, Robbo. Well, Sajid is hanging it on the edge here and fouls. 7 fouls from Judd, 29 points given away, and 6 fouls from Neil Robertson, 26 points given away. So very little to separate the two players, even in that aspect once again. And Chomp being on the edge of that one as well, even though, of course, it's a negative format, which you want to be on the wrong edge of. Now, Robertson, for attempt number 2 now, after the cue ball being respotted into his previous location. And I actually think that he's played the shot with even less power. Is he going to reach? No, I think he will actually reach in the end. So maybe it was a bit of an illusion. It is going to be a shot nicely taken there by Robertson. Crowd applauding even such a simple shot there for him, because of clearly trying to get the maximum amount of frames out of this matchup now in between Judd Chomp and Neil Robertson. And Chomp clearly trying to be the player that makes things happen. Trying to get that red away from the side cushion and closer to the open. So play of reds. Still getting the cue ball nicely set up for the ball cushion himself. And getting the turn back to Robertson. And just having a look to see if he can get through to this red. Try and take it into the left corner. Get himself lined up for the ping to be taken into the right corner at the same time. If he goes for this approach. And in the end, he doesn't want to do it just yet. So he wants to try and stay in the frame for slightly longer. As I say, maybe play an endurance game now on Chomp. And even though he has been getting the better of Neil Robertson so far in the safety play, maybe it's just going to force him into making a bit of a rush shot decision. Or at least have one of those reds to be left in an easy position there to be taken. As might be this one. I mean, it's not an easy one, but at least there's a chance there for Robertson. You know, get the cue ball into that red. 1 out of 4, as you can see from Lompots, for him to be taken for that red. Now, can he make it 2 out of 5 at least to make it a reasonable percentage? Not on this occasion. Once again, just seems to have his game unraveling. And he's going to leave a red available into the same pocket there for Chom. So, I mean, it just doesn't seem to be happening there from Robertson. And he missed that one by a considerable amount of distance as well. So, can it be one last time that we've seen Robertson at the table? Because even though the position is still covered up, with Chomp having 17 points of advantage, it could be one chance. And it is going to be bye-bye Neil Robertson. Say hello to the final, featuring Judd Chomp once again. And an all-English final in that case. Once again, as he was 2 years ago. A year ago, with Judd Chomp against Barry Hawkins. Ooh, he's missed that red by a fraction. He was playing a shot for the black there, so he's never leaving any of those reds away to Robertson. And, well, I mean, I say that because that's, I think, why Chomp was trying to hold for the black or for the pink. And, yeah, as I say, I don't think any of those reds are going to be potable into the left corner. I think they're just going to be in the way of each other. So, last pot time, way over 7 minutes now with a bit of a safety play. And, well, wasn't really that long since the last pot time for Neil Robertson either, because he has managed to get that red in, but that was the end of his scoring chances. And Chom just having a look to see the way for the cue ball to be sent to the top part of the table yet again. And yeah, just having himself lined up for one more safety battle. As you can see, fans in the background just waving to the cameras. Clearly happy to see themselves on the TV. So, Chomp, yeah, as I say, I think even though he is going to try and play the patient game, I still think he's going to try and make things happen, although it might be contradicting myself there, because he just managed to put the pink into available play, and, well, potentially left a plant on for Robertson, and at this stage for Robbo, I mean, you're very close to being desperate and just taking any sort of chance that presents himself. Now, he can try and take it with the approach of getting the cue ball to go onto the top part of the table, but he's refused the plant and he's left the raid over the right corner anyway. So, I mean, come on, Robbo, all of that does seem to be going against him. Although, I mean, I thought he's left the raid over the corner pocket without realising that Chomp is going to have yellow and blue in the way. So, I don't know how I got that one so wrong. And, well, I mean, it does actually change things here, because there's not really a way for Chomp to get that red to drop in. He's got one more plant available, but with so much distance in between those two reds, I think it's going to be really difficult for him to hope that that red is going to drop into the right corner. And yeah, it was probably more of a hunt trying to get that red, which Robertson left over the right corner pocket, out of the pocket. And well, in the end, he hasn't managed to do it, but he's still got the cue ball into a perfect position onto the ball cushion. He gets himself set up, well, for a comfortable visit to his chair, because Robertson has very limited options there in terms of the way that he wants to play the safety shot. He's got maybe a plant that he can try and head towards that right corner pocket in a similar way that Chomp has done. But that way he's going to have the cue ball heading towards the yellow pocket, which of course is not going to be the ideal case scenario, with right now cue ball being placed on top of the yellow spot. And, you know, if he's going to be a different picture and sending the cue ball quite close to the yellow pocket itself, or is he going to, he was going to drop the red into the right corner, but in the end, he wasn't able to do that because of the red being in the way. And, well, at this stage, you probably have to say just which one of the players will go for a regular shot now of trying to get at least one of those reds into the pocket, no matter how that actually is going to happen. I mean, cross double into the right corner probably doesn't sound as a horrible idea now for Chomp, because he's got that red on the left side cushion. As long as he avoids a double kiss, you can try and get it in that zone, and from that angle, you feel like any sort of contact on the red will drop it in. But of course, if he doesn't manage to do it, you'll have a high risk of leaving that red available there to Robertson. Now, once again, as I say, it depends on availability of those reds that he can see. And, well, I think he's tried to do a clever shot, but in the end, I think he's going to go against him. That red is going to be surely visible to Neil Robertson. And therefore, it is going to be the Australian player that will get at least one more chance of getting himself back in this frame. Trying to re-establish the order back to one frame of a difference, which has been the case throughout the majority of this match. Now manages to play that red in, and well, he was always going to be on the colour, but the problem is he's slightly landed in between all of them. Not on the black, not really on the pink, and set up on the blue in the way that he's got the cue ball perfectly on the side cushion. But although he has got the red onto the top part of the table, which he can try and play for, tournament off the cushion pot success 58%, so not perfect. And has he managed to drop this one in? He has. So underrun slightly for that red onto the top part of the table. But you have to say every single chance that Robertson has got, well, may well be his last one. So he has to try and take it. So checking to see if it will be worth taking that red into the right corner instead. And hesitating for that red to be taken into the green pocket first. Now play for this shot now. And I mean, he's gone for a long shot instead. And this could be the last shot that he's played in this match because of the circumstances in the way that he's managed to spread the reds away from each other. With that red ricocheting back into the main action. It is going to be just 6 points managed there from Neil Robertson. And, well, the red disappearing into the right pocket. Unforced errors once again. List is going to be updated there for Robertson. And he's made 4 in this match according to the stats. Probably has made slightly more than that in my point of view. But once again, it's not going to matter about that stage because he has managed to put up a brilliant fight. Well, even at this stage of the match, especially at the opening part of it, in the opening 5 frames, it was anyone's game for the taking, and in the end it was Judd that was able to find that extra gear, which Robertson had absolutely no response to. Now 19 points is the difference, 91 on the table, so reverse numbers, and well, with all the reds that Trump has got available to him now, I would be very surprised if we see Neil Robertson coming back to the table to do anything other than shake hands of Judd Trump here. 25 points. Of course, it's never over until it's over. Especially with, you know, the twist that we've seen in the tournament already. Now Trump just having all the selection of reds here to try and choose from. Having the first one to disappear into the left middle. And having the pink to go past the red into the left corner is going to be even more of an advantage. Although, I mean, I say that, he's played for this pink, but it does seem to be going past the red only just about. And, well, makes it look easy, but it was certainly tight there. Gets the pink in. 32 points is the advantage. So, I think around 50-60 zone of Trump scoring those points. He will be over the line here with 75 points on the table as it stands. So, it's slightly out of position here. If he is able to get through to the green, then fine. And if that is not the case, you'll probably have to take the blue into the right middle, but I think he can get through to the green, so get rid of that red onto the top part of the table and just focus on the lower part of it for now. So now 36 points is the difference in between the two players. Now the red to be taken into the yellow pocket, and in shot we trust. Well, Rafi, he certainly was the case in the 6th frame, and I thought he was going to be a lot closer than that. I thought we was going to take the distance, but Robertson still managed to play his part in this match, and especially in this tournament. As I say, going into this match, had him as the player which had most form, and well, probably just disappeared going from that frame number 6 onwards, as Trump avoids a contact on those reds, as himself lined up for one more of those taken into the right corner, just having a look at the scoreboard to ensure that he knows the milestone for him to try and focus on. And as I say, I think when the gap is going to be reaching 50 points, or around that sort of number, it is going to be Judd Trump to be over the line here. But yeah, well, brushes off the pink there, and still is going to be alright for it to be taken into the right corner. So those are the shots that so far Neil Robertson wasn't able to get positional success from, and Trump most certainly has been. Now it is 49 points of an advantage, 59 on the table. So this red and colour combination will get Trump over the line and leave Robertson needing at least a couple of snookers. He's not perfect on the ping though, and ideally, as I say, for Robertson not to be coming back to the table, He wants to roll one more red in. And for him to just try and drop this pink into the left corner. For him to go 56 points away. And is he going to be able to do that? Just about drops the pink in. And that should be the end there. So 56 points of an advantage. 51 on the table. And Neil Robertson is going to be over the line now. And, well, I mean, as he gets the red in, he will be. A handshake in between the two players imminent. And it has been a brilliant performance from Judd. And the world number one, once again, just having that ability to raise up his game and, well, play a most beautiful 4 frames of this tournament, probably. Dominating Neil Robertson ever since that scrappy frame of Robertson actually managing to take that one away from Chomp. But that was the last piece of the jigsaw, which probably got Chomp into a bit of a prime zone there for him, especially this season. And a lovely little 53 points of a clearance now, if he misses the pink. And, well, certainly applause from the crowd and the handshake from the players. Neil Robertson has battled really hard in the beginning of this matchup, but in the end, it was a victory, as you can see, for Judd Trump. And it is the world number one that will have his second UK Championship final for 2 seasons on the bounce. But this time it's not going to be against Barry Hawkins. But who's it going to be? Is it going to be Sean Murphy or Mark Selby? We're going to be yet to find out. But just a little overview on this one. You have to say, hats off to Chomp. But where has he gone wrong for Robertson? He has clearly gone wrong for frame number 5 and 6 sequence. And who actually could have thought that winning that frame from Robertson's point of view would actually put him on the 4 frame of losing streak? I couldn't. I thought that was the only way that he was going to actually stay in that match, because if Trump, once again, for the 3rd time on the bounce, was going to re-establish the order of going 3-2 up, I thought Robertson was just going to disappear. And even though Neil has actually managed to get that frame by 80 points to 70 in the end on the black after almost an hour of action. And, well, if you see with the stats there, as I say, 146 balls spotted to 95, 506 total points to 341, pot success 89 to 88. Long pot success is the only number which sees Robertson better than John, but that probably was because of more long pots attempted there by Judd. Safety success, well, horrible for either, really. 70% for Judd and 69 for Robertson, and also Neil making a century break. But as you can see, it has been the only break of 50 plus there for him, and that was it there for Neil from the break building point of view. He was unable to get positional success throughout the majority of the match, and Trump was just way too consistent for him to lose this performance. And well, it is gonna be now Judd Trump to march on into the final, but who is he gonna have to play? And once again, just one last point, that frame number 6 was the sign of a champion. Trump lost out an endurance frame of 1 hour. He was obviously very down with himself. He had a horrible break-off shot, catching the blue of the side, and still managed to win that frame in a single visit to the table. Of course, set up by a mistake by Neil Robertson, and was followed up was a comfortable win of 4 frames on the bounce. And in the end, it was Judd Trump 6, Neil Robertson 3 in a brilliant semi-final encounter. Once again, thank you very much for everyone that's tuned in, and feel free on your way out to hit the like and subscribe to the channel. We will have the final consisting of 2 sessions for you tomorrow. Can't wait for that to begin. But who's it going to be to face off against Judd Trump? Looking forward to it, and best of action is still to come. Stay tuned in. Thanks for tuning in.